Ignition sequence start. 3, 2, 1.
Houston, we have a problem.
Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
We copy you on the ground. You got a bunch of guys about to turn blue.
What you're seeing here is a mirage.
Ignition sequence start. 3, 2, 1.
Houston, we have a problem.
Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
We copy you on the ground. You got a bunch of guys about to turn blue.
What you're seeing here is a mirage.
You know, I just realized that there's two of that intro in the intro. So I will fix that. Welcome to the show, everybody. It is time for another episode of ICONOCLASM. What does that word mean, Jaron? Well, we could look into the definition if you want, but we could also recognize ourselves as the top level iconoclasts, and we are going after very hard, I might add, the iconophiles. Those are them who just can't stop with the dogmatic beliefs, with the authority, with the holding humanity back as if we're some sort of primitive people that still must answer to a man in the sky. So I think it's antiquated, and I think that it should be shunned, and I think it's obviously should be shunned, and yet we've got a huge hill to climb. I know if you guys are watching the show, by the way, if you're a Christian and you get triggered easily by people saying that your Jesus isn't a god, or that your YHWH is not worship worthy, probably not the show for you. So just kind of backwards. You know that meme that has Homer going back into the bush? Just do that. Just back into the bush, back into the meme in the mempool for YouTube, and let the big boys play here, and you can go do Romper Room wherever you want. Enjoy that. And we are going to get on to some bigger topics here, because we're not going to spend a lot of time destroying what needs to be destroyed, because we have other things to search out. We have other things to uncover. And we are not going to be held back by those who adhere to ancient standards, ancient desert water standards, when you can actually see the effect of what's happening on the world. Then you know something's up, you know something can't be right. So iconoclasm is the action of attacking or assertively rejecting cherished beliefs and institutions or established values and practices. What a great word, and one I had never heard until recently. I love it. The rejection or destruction of religious images as heretical, the doctrine of iconoclasts. So we are an iconoclast. And then if you look up iconophile, which is probably one of the funnier things ever said, iconophile, let's see what that says. Whoops. Yes. People are texting me. Does that mean I'm not live somewhere? Iconophile is also known as a iconodoulos. I don't know. Greek for servants of images, refer to those who support the use of religious images. But again, it also is those who hold up the mainstream. I'll make my own definitions if they don't quite fit what I need. I just kind of change them a little, just tweak them a little bit. A person who loves icons, illustrations, pictures, right? So people who believe in space, people who believe in Narnia in the sky, because some men tell us, they're like, oh, well, they must be true. We know exactly what goes around that sun. It's 75 trillion miles away. Sure you do. Let's go say hello to the people at the chat locale, and let's get some things up here on the screen. First and foremost, we've got, oops, that is going to work there. Okay. You can support the channel if you want. The phone calls do cost money. By the way, we'll be turning on the phones probably a little early today, maybe in a half hour or so. And then we'll have an hour and a half of your phone calls you can either join through StreamYard, or you can go to 1-888-698-FLAT But you have to wait on that. If you go there now, it'll be busy. But you can text it if you want to text me something. You can. No dick pics. Thank you. No, you couldn't do that anyway. Doesn't come across. No picture messages. Yellow is Jaron the host. What happened? Oh, my screen is orange. I didn't even see that. Sorry. Well, deal with it. Your ideas aren't new ideas by any means. I didn't say they were new. They are. The problem with it is that you just have Christians who claim that they've been debunked, which is just ridiculous. They've not been debunked. There's no book that I've ever seen that could be called perfect and yet continue to be destroyed and continue to be shown to be a problem. And yet people just keep making up new excuses for it. What I thought was funny yesterday is I did a little bit of Bible stuff on my show, and I went back and looked at the chat a little bit, and everybody in the chat is just saying, I wish I would have looked, because it was all the most obvious stuff. People like saying, I was saying Satan wasn't real, and they're like, he is real. He just can't do anything to you if you don't believe in him. It's like, okay, that's exactly my point. That's my point. My point is he doesn't exist if you don't believe in him. So what are you doing believing in him? That was my whole point of the whole thing. But again, it's tough for some people to get. I get that. So it's like, I'm like, yes. So everybody just doesn't believe in him, and poof, he's gone. Wow, that was tough. So there's nothing to be afraid of. Satan is not real. The AI is not real. The AI is not a demon talking to your children. The AI just answers questions and looks things up. There's no otherworldly spirit that's entered into the AI for Google and he's going to groom kids. It's like, we need to really get over this stuff because it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing that I see people lose their minds on this stuff. You know, it's like I don't know. There's just a lot of stuff in the truth movement that bothers me. You know, that Daryl, what's the guy's name that was played for the Bills? Hamlin, whatever, right? Well, I saw a bunch of people sharing a video of him like going into something for an interview, and they say, "Oh, look, no tattoo." And I'm like, okay, that's just, you know, probably not possible. So I go look and I find the actual clean copy, and he's clearly got tattoos. So it's like, it's sad that people can't take that extra 2 minutes just to look at something before they post something. But I get it, because we're in the world today where you make money from posting the most outrageous nonsense you can. So as soon as something happens, to post, this is fake, this is a false flag, this is a demon who came in and talked to my GP, the chat GP, whatever. When you do that, that's how you get views. So I get it. I mean, what am I going to do? I'm not going to go to that level. That is selling your soul. That's selling your soul to the devil. That's what you're doing. I couldn't do that. I couldn't be like, oh, I know a way to get more people to watch my show, but it's not really real. I'm going to just kind of pretend. I mean, I don't know why people are like that. I mean, again, I say that and I know why people are like that, and they have no morals. But again, we'll see what happens when they move along. I think that you'll be judged for those things. So we're going to go after some iconophiles for sure. Let's, have you ever heard this song here? I started to play it and I was like, I don't know if you ever heard this. Those Catholics, are there any Catholics in the house? Any Catholics in the house? What do we got here? See if it's a load, you guys. Wait, why is my screen all gross? 1 second. We got to change this. Yes. And take off that alert. It's a little better. And take off that chat. Have you noticed the color of the current American money currency matches the Monopoly money color code? No, I have not noticed that. Huh. I don't know. I don't think this is the one I was thinking of. Is it? No, I don't know. No Catholics are like, no, nobody knows that song. There's a song that we used to listen to. Oh, this one is it. Gee, I want not the song with the words. I want the karaoke version. I think I can write something for it. It's just fun to kind of tear down these icons that I grew up with, that I had to listen to all the time, that just got embedded in my head and became very gross. That's what I'm trying to say. Is this it here? Let me see. Yeah, you know that one? So, oh my God, I'm like so embarrassed. I'm baptized, but that's all. No Catholics here, only heavy metal fans. Wow, I didn't know until just today. Supporting Jeranism on Rokfin. Sweet. Shout out to my friend Jesus. Jesus, big ups to Jesus. Big ups to Jesus always. So this song is a Catholic song, and it goes through all the saints. It takes forever because the guy that sings it was usually like some priest that's really bad at singing. But he would sing it and sound like, I don't know, it's just funny. Kermit the Frog. I can do a good Kermit the Frog impression, so I could probably do a good. I think I want to rewrite this though. I don't know who should we put in. What if we put all the science people in it? Oh, I have ideas. Yeah, that's gonna be good. Yeah, Isaac Newton, pray for us. Galileo from Galileo, pray for us. Even Johannes Kepler, pray for us. And we're talking Dionysus, pray for. I'm having too much fun by myself today. That is good stuff. So yeah, the song goes like this. Oh, that's gonna be funny. I don't want to sing it. I gotta get somebody else. I want to sing it, but I can't. It's too bad. But the song goes like this. Here we go. No Catholics in the house, huh? It's pretty funny. Stop it. Holy women, pray for us. So as it goes, Holy Mary, Mother of Jesus, pray for. Then you're supposed to say that. And Saint Michael, pray for us. Holy angels of God Himself, now pray for us. It's like this, just on and on and on. And you're sitting in the church like, is this ever going to end? But you know what you do? You sing right along, you know? St. John the Baptist, pray for us. St. Peter, St. Paul, pray for us. St. Andrew and the apostles, pray for. I just lost all my audience. They're like, we're out of here. This guy's gone nuts. This guy's gone psycho. He's out of his mind. And we don't want to do that anymore. All right, let's get back to the show. So here's what I want to talk about. What did I title it? Elite Fulfilling Prophecy. Yes, because I wanted to point that out. I don't think I covered that enough yesterday, and it may have got confusing. But what do I think is going on? I think that it's very smart for the elite to play into the idea of prophecy. Anytime you do that, you put, because what do we know? What is the biggest driver for, I don't know what you want to call it, fear, right? Fear is the biggest driver for fear sells, right? And if fear sells, now wouldn't that be funny? I got to check the chat. I didn't say I did the chat, but wouldn't that be funny if I just put in all the scientists in there? Neil deGrasse Tyson, pray for us. Lawrence Krauss, now pray for us. And the little loser on the ISS, pray for us. And the one who said he couldn't see stars, pray for us. That'd be fun. Where was I? All right, I'm going to bring up your YouTube chat on here so that we can see who's here. We've got, I've played with a lot of those gather musicians in concert. They're not bad musicians. Yeah, my mom would probably know. My mom knew for sure. Certified banger. Shut the hell up. None of that is in the Bible. You know, none of the rapture's in the Bible either. So none of the Trinity really is in the Bible either. So there's a lot of things out in the Bible. Catholic until 15 years old when I didn't have to go anymore. Like, screw this matter. Patty, I saw your comments yesterday. Thank you for your comments in the chat. It is nice to know that some people are seeing through the nonsense. And you're one of them. We got fairies wear boots and dancing with a dwarf. All right now. All right, that's good. This is a hood classic. You guys are funny, man. You guys make the show funny. What happened to the musical masterpieces from the Renaissance? I don't know. I got to bring some of those aboard. No, this is hilarious. I used to come here to hear you talk about flat Earth, but now you're talking about this crap. Yeah, and you can just leave. You know, what do I want to tell you? What crap are you talking about? You must be a Christian who has a deep love for the slave-pushing, woman-hating God of the Jews. You know, who likes to have you wring the neck of birds and drip their blood 7 times on the altar, and then go get a she-goat, and then cast your sins onto the she-goat, and then send the she-goat out into the forest, kill it, and then you're forgiven for your sins. I mean, why wouldn't you worship that God? It seems like you're brilliant to me. Jesus, I feel bad for you, Jaron. You were tortured. Oh, man. Guys, you have no idea. You have no idea how tortured I was. I used to have to carry the cross with the hung Jesus on it, not hung like he was hanging from the cross. You couldn't see he had a little loincloth. We don't know. We don't know the hung status of Jesus. We don't know. I'm guessing guy was just baying, but I don't know. Okay, how would I know? I'm just saying you would think God's going to be, stacking. It's just what I'm saying. So anyway, I'd walk in with this huge cross, and then like people would bow to me, the cross. Oh, hello, ma'am. And then I also was in charge of the incense, and I have to do the little incense, toot, 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 pour the incense on the thing. And then I used to, talk about morbid. I had to go to, why is there people at the door? Go away, people. I used to have to get called out of class in 7th and 8th grade to go to funerals. I probably served at 100 funerals in my life, where It's just people crying, and it's just, but you're like, here you are, like a 7th grade. I got to do the incense on the altar, and ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Show me a man I really can trust. No, that's not the wrong. That's something else, I think. Yeah, but I was tortured. But I did some weird things at the church, man. I did some weird things. I used to go in the back and eat Jesus's body like there was no tomorrow. I would just eat Jesus' body. Now, let's get something straight. It actually wasn't Jesus's body yet, because the holy man that wears the dress, he had not yet put the bread onto the altar and then said his little magic prayer. So if you don't say the magic prayer over the bread is just bread. So really, I was in the back room eating bread. But technically, it's the same thing. It's the host. A stack of them like this, like Pringles. You ever just pop Pringles? That's how I used to eat the host in the back room. They didn't know. You know, what are you going to do? I was hungry. I'm going to starve. So, but they were not yet Jesus's body. They became Jesus's body later in the evening. That's how it works. The blood, you get it. And then I think I told this story before. I was like 14 years old. You know, the priest used to make me finish the wine. I mean, I think that church wine is like watered down. I don't think it's like, strong, but you get to the back room and you'd be like, here, can you finish this? I'm like, this priest is giving a 14-year-old, I'm like, yeah, I could drink it. I'm like, why? He's like, oh, because we can't pour Jesus. Now this is after, so get this straight. This is after church. So the wine had already been changed to blood. So now it was blood. Therefore, you cannot pour blood down the sink. Jesus' blood is not allowed in the sink. God damn it. I'll tell you that right now. Okay? Don't you think for 1 second his blood can go there. Cannot. We were very strict about what happens. Not so much before. You can do whatever you want with the bread. Eat it all you want. Doesn't matter. But you got to be careful after. After it needs to go into the... Oh, boy. Come on, Jaron. Think of that name. Oh, boy. Guys, what is it? There are no Catholics here? This is going to bug me. There's a metal box. Lock and key. Sits behind the tabernacle. The tabernacle. All right? Yeah, all the backwash. Exactly. This person gets it. So thank you very much for that. Let's see. Everyone bows as Jaron strides by. Yes, it's really bad. Yeah, I was an altar boy. Yes, and you had to wear one of those alms or whatever they're called. If you guys ever want to read an interesting story, Jesus left his calling card with the Shroud of Turin. I don't know, doubt that. But again, kid, believe what you want. I think that to take anything from that long ago on faith is strange, but again, have you seen that shroud? I've heard it could be the king of Odessa. I've heard a lot of different things, but what was that one before that I was going to say? Jesus strides, but so if you go to the intranets, if you ever want to read something kind of fun, where is it? I guess I can go here. So if you go to the intranets and you type in "becoming Jeranism," I didn't think he did a bad job. This guy Noel Hadley, I think. So it's the first thing that comes up here. The Unexpected Cosmology is the name of the website, and this is an article by Noel Hadley. He called me and basically just started to ask me some questions. That he was going to write an article about me, and it's a pretty long article. It goes through. Look at that. That's not the same thing we wore. That's his choice of pictures, but it's a pretty long article about my upbringing. I was actually here. I was at this event. This was the World Youth Day 1994 in Manila, the Philippines. It is like the third or fourth. At the time, it was like first or second for the most amount of people assembled in one place in one time. It was 4 million. 4 million people were in Manila to see the Pope for World Youth Day 1994. If you ever look at pictures, it's insane. It's like, let's see, World Youth Day 1990. It might have been January 1995, actually. Yeah, Philippines. So World Youth Day 1995. That's how I know that Our Father in Tagalog. Ama namin sumasalangin ka sambahin mamasamo. Why do I know the Filipino language? I don't know. I just do. Anyway, let's see. I was wanting to see pictures, not Wikipedia. Let's see here. I just want to show you if they have any good pictures of the crowd. I mean, it was ridiculous. Look at this. That is nuts. I was 15? And it's funny because all the Filipinos are like, Filipinos, what are they? They stand about 3'6" to 4'2". So here's me, 6 foot tall, 14-year-old. So they would hand me their cameras. What am I going to do with all these cameras? And then push me to the front of the thing to take pictures for everybody. That's what they do to the white people there. basically, man, that is a ridiculous picture. Isn't that insane? That is just, I think it'd be, now, and like, I have pictures of this where this car literally almost drove over my foot. And this is what I'm talking about. So all these people would push me to the front and then give me all their cameras and be like, take a picture. And then I'd give it back to them. You didn't get one for me. But it's a pretty big event. Anyway, I went there. We like did, bake sales and car washes. And then our trip was paid for. Went there with me and 3 girls, all my age, and the youth leader who is also a girl. So how about that? I'm not telling you about the behind the scenes action at 14 because, well, there was none. So that's why. But I did sit at a bar and have my first tequila sunrise, and I did smoke a cigar at the bar because you were allowed to. So there was no drinking age. There's no drinking age in the Philippines. You have to be 21 to drive, and I actually like it better. You have to be 21 to drive, no drinking age. Drink whenever you want, even at a bar. So anyway, this event was ridiculous, and I believe that they would claim to have 4 million people there. Let me see. Most people in attendance. It's probably way down now. I bet now, it used to be second or third or fourth. List of not sporting events. World's largest not sporting crowds. No, just largest crowds. Most, or let's put largest crowd. Largest crowd. Just want to see where I'm at. Where I rank. List of the largest peaceful gatherings. Okay, what do we got here? 50 million. Get the hell out. When? Where? What? No. What? That's not right. That's not right. 2 to 5 million. Are we even on the list anymore? Let's go Manila. Control, find, MANI. An estimated 6 to 7 million people attended the mass at Rizal Park, Manila on 18 January 2015 that concluded the apostolic, I don't know how to say that word. Apostolic, there we go. Apostolic and state visit of Pope. Wait, what? This is not right. 2015. No, that's not. We're way down there. We're not even on the list. 2 to 5 million. Not that Manila. 2015. Oh, there it is. Over 5 million people attended World Youth Day 1995 Philippines to see Pope John Paul II. It was the largest papal crowd in history until being surpassed on the 18th of January with Pope Francis visit Manila. I wonder why so many people go to Manila. Very, very weird city. Just you'd see these huge, expensive, nice-ass houses on like a block, and then literally right across the street would just be the most slum you've ever seen. People living in cardboard boxes and just squalor. And you know what I was forced to do there? I was forced to eat dog. Forced to eat it. Like, when you go to your grandparents' house, your parents are like, you're going to eat that. You're going to eat everything that's on your plate. That's how it was there, too, because they were our host family, and we were told, you have to try a little bit of everything, and you can't throw anything away. These people, they're very poor. So we go there, and then after dinner was done, they brought out some sort of dessert. Here, look at these cube squares of meat, of beef. We're like, oh, what are these? Oh, just a delicacy. The delicatessen. Oh. Then you go to bite it, and you're like, tastes like Rex. Tastes like Spot. It was not that bad. I got over it. So, probably going to hell for that. I don't think you're allowed to eat dogs, according to the Bible. So, anyway. Becoming Jeranism is a decent article. I think there was some errors, but not really much. And then it goes into survivalism, and it actually ends with the wow, it's a lot longer than I thought. Holy smokes! It ends with okay, one of the longest articles ever. Alrighty, okay, it's gonna get to the end eventually. Wow, that's longer than I thought. It ends with where are we at? Oh, it's kind of funny because you've all heard me talk about this event, but it ends with Jaren recalled we lived in a 2-story house at the time. I can see the view through the window in my head. The view seemed to entice her observations. She asked, talking about my wife, do you think the earth could be flat? Jaren flipped. What are you talking about? The earth could be flat. That's what I said. Could the earth be flat? What are you, stupid? Jaren tightened the contortions on his face. How could planes possibly go around it? I flew to the Philippines going west. You flew to Europe and Hungary going east. Missa shrugged. What if we had been lied to? Jaren said some things are fundamentally true. And one of those things is that the earth is a sphere. It spins, it goes around the sun, and the earth is clearly a ball. She said, oh, I'm sorry. I thought we were going to build our beliefs from the ground floor up. And then he said, yeah, but Jaren closed his mouth. He opened it up to say something and then shut it again. Oh boy. And that was the beginning of the end, if you want to put it that way. So let's anyway, that's again, just search Google for Becoming Jeranism. You should find that article by Noel Hadley. And I think he's got some other pretty good articles in here that, he wrote about Dave Weiss, some other ones. If you haven't seen his work, check it out. All right, let's see if there's anything else I wanted to talk about. Well, the elite playing into prophecy, just keep your eyes open, because anytime that they can, and they allow these lies to perpetuate, they love to, because again, fear sells, right? Fear is what keeps you in that fight or flight methodology. It keeps you confused. You're not able to make rational decisions. Everything that we saw what happened with coronavirus. So what they want to do is they want to keep you afraid. And what better way to keep you afraid than to constantly have you think it's the end of the world? Now, I got to do a little bit more follow-up, but somebody sent me an article, or maybe it was a video, but the guy was talking about, he went back and looking, and it looks like before 1840 that nobody believed in the end times that we do. So, because you hear about the rapture, and right, and they stopped doing the daily sacrifice at the temple, and then the temple's rebuilt, and there's like all these things that we're told, but none of those are in the Bible. So in 1840, this guy put forth this story about what ended up being the rapture. And if we look at it, that's got to be clearly by the elite. So what they did is they realized that, let's keep them thinking it's always here. It's because they tell you, don't, it comes like a thief in the night. Like all the things that the Bible says, you have to, when you really think about it, you're like, oh, I see why they did that. Now it makes sense. Before the Bible didn't make sense to me. Now I read every part of the Bible, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Oh, I know why they did that. Yep. Oh, it makes sense why the elite would put that in there. Oh, sure. Yeah. Because everything leads to exactly what they want. So people always say like, oh, why is Christianity the most shunned religion? It's the most persecuted religion. No, it's not. A persecuted religion is one that's not allowed to happen in your country. Do you know there's countries that don't allow religions? So how could you say that Christianity is the most persecuted religion? Or you mean in other countries? Is that what you mean? Not this country? I think that in other countries it may do more damage than good. Here it does more good for the elite than damage, right? And people say like, oh, well, they don't want you to find God. They're afraid of God. Probably, but guess what? They're telling you to worship somebody who's not God. So see why they would do that? Here, take this book. You either end up worshiping Jesus or YHWH, in which case you lose and they win. So it's a brilliant scam. And again, I'm just going to say this and then we'll go into calls. How do I know it's a scam? Am I so sure about it? Well, if it wasn't, right? Let's say that the Bible was legit, then we would have, in my mind, the ability to see God in that Bible and be like, this God is moral, this God is loving, this God is caring. But we really don't see that. We see a different person. And it seems like that God is has demonic, he almost has human tendencies, right? So I always talk about that, like, why didn't God just snap his fingers to get rid of the people at the flood? Like any being with compassion, no matter how bad the giants were, no matter how bad the people were, no matter how bad grandma was, you would still have compassion to be like, well, I don't want them to drown and suffer, so I'll just snap my fingers and they're gone. But God didn't do that. He actually let the waters fall and let women run away with their little babies and die. So, I've had that problem. But then you look at throughout the entire Bible, God is constantly doing things that are only something that somebody who's a little psychopathic would do. Oh, you're not worshiping me as your God? I'm going to go kill your firstborn. Okay, well, now they'll never worship you. So that was really smart. He's always doing these little kind of, he's the first one who killed animals, I guess. Where the hell did he get skins for Adam and Eve? Oh, then God went over and got them skins to wear as loincloths. Okay, well, I guess God became the first killer of animals. I'm not really sure. Then, he's just always doing weird things for God. I thought he knows everything. He knows, and then he's down in the garden and he's like, where are you guys? I can't find you. Adam and Eve, where are you? Show yourselves. I can't find you. Again, and then people will just be like, oh, he's playing a game with them. All right. The thing is that these limitations are always put on God, which are strange, right? They're very strange. The one I can't fathom, the one I can't get over is that they actually believe, or the belief is in Christianity, that God had to, right there would be like, what? God had to send his son to die on the cross to be an intercessor between us and him because we are so bad that God can't communicate with us. This is a kind of nonsense stretching claims that Christianity will make, has no basis in anything. It's just what they have to say, right? They have to say that. So, and it gets really kind of pathetic. You're like, wait, what? So God couldn't just talk to us? No, you're so bad. Once you're born in sin, see, there's a cosmic rule that separates he can't only, it's like ridiculous. Let's just put it that way. It's ridiculous to think that. But again, they have to come up with some reason. Why else would he need to have Jesus come down? Especially after he said, I'm God. I'm not any other God. I'm not any other being. I'm not a man, and I'm not the son of man. So what did he do? Surprise, comes back as the son of man. Pretty good. That was a good twist at the end there. Good twist. You didn't see it coming. All right, let me get the phone lines open. If you want to join, let's put the number on the screen. We've got and I'll check the chat in a second. I know people probably wanted to talk yesterday and didn't really get to. 1-888-698-FLAT is the number. Where is don't I have a little clock thing? A little clock. Hold on 1 second. Right, I guess. Oh, clock. There we go. Turn it on. Yeah, we got it. That's what we want to do. So I'll draw this out a little bit better for you next time. I'm going to take some calls this time. Unless there's nobody coming on the show, then what I'll do is I'll just do this. But yeah, what the elite do by putting 666 in their logos, by having commercials, because think of how many times, let's just think about, like, how many times have you seen a satanic commercial and people thought it was like the end? Remember like 2-3 years ago, there was the Match.com Satan commercial, and the biggest deal is made out of it, right? So what I think is that they know that what we think is what reality becomes. Now, again, does that mean that I can hope that the world changes for just myself and change the world? No. It is a collective consciousness thing, and it is a catalyst or a result of us being the creator. We are pieces of the I am, right? This is why God doesn't exist right now outside of this. This is God. We are God. Don't know how else to say it to you. That's the only thing that makes sense. Ontologically, if you want to call it that, it's the only thing that makes sense, because otherwise, why doesn't God interject in lives? Or why do people think that he would? It's kind of strange to think you could pray to God to save somebody's life, or to save your cat, or to make money, or it's just dumb. Like, what do you think God's up there? I mean, imagine there's 8 billion people on earth. He couldn't even do it. I mean, it's just stupid. And be like, oh, you can't. You're putting limitations on God. Hey, you guys are the one who say he had to send his son to kill because he has to get a blood sacrifice. The wages of death are sin. And what? Are wages of sin or death? You're putting rules on God. That's what I won't do. I will not put rules like, oh, he can't do that. Oh, he can't do this. Because all I know that he can do or that he can't do is outside of his morals, outside of his goodness. And I say his, and I don't even believe it's a his or he. So it's outside of its goodness, right? And we've been sold a patriarchal, genocidal, slavery pushing, animal sacrifice demanding, trickery inducing, kind of metaphysical, weird bug God. Just weird. Jealous, vindictive, kill you. Oh, you drop the ark, I kill you. You pick up sticks on the side of the road on a Saturday, I'm going to kill you. And it's embarrassing. It is embarrassing that people are buying into this still. And it's a product of fear. So by them playing in, the elite play into the fear, they play into the prophecy. Why? So that you are afraid and just sit and wait for Jesus. Because no matter how bad things get, Jesus is going to save it. So you just keep letting things get worse and worse. Now, here's the problem. We may be at a place now that we've let it go too far. So I'm trying to wake people up. I'm not going to have time to wake people up. People are going to fight this one big time. It's fought more than the flat earth was, because it is a blowing up of everything that you had thought was true, but it's the best feeling in the world. I've never felt more clear-headed about life, and I don't even know as much as I thought I did, right? So before, when we believed in the globe, we're like, 93 million miles, and okay, but I still had, I think I've told you guys before, I had a fear of flying. I was not very good at flying a plane, not actually steering it, but sitting in the back. I would go on flights. I never didn't go somewhere because I had to fly. I just didn't like it. I'd be gripping the armrest with a little bit of extra hand sweat. What was that? Oh, super chat. Thank you very much. Libra of Eden Realm. Keep up the great work. Maybe they were saying Rupture, fake ET evasion, real ETs, Maverick, and his little friends will laugh and throw stuff at them. Yeah, they're gonna get lit up. They come around here. So anyway, and I think that if you start to pay attention, you're going to start to see where they do it on purpose. I mean, literally, there's no other reason for them to do CERN's logo 666. Now, some people will think, oh, they worship Satan. There's no Satan. So it's not. Can you conjure up a Satan? Can you make yourself believe there's one? Can you see demons if you really believe in them? Sure. But again, watch how easy this is. Demons and Satan don't exist as soon as you say they don't exist. That's it. It's that easy. They do not exist and they cannot exist. That's how free will works. So try it. I said that yesterday and everybody's in the chat saying, he does exist. Satan exists. I've seen him before. Okay, well, you just created him. We are creators here. What you believe is going to be your reality. So why not get rid of the things and start thinking about abundance? Think about the things that you wanted to do in your life. Imagine right now, you won $35 million. Okay, they were going to hand you $35 million. You're about to live the rest of your life with not having to worry about work anymore. So what would you do? Think about that. Think about what you would do if you had $35 million for the rest of your life, and then start to put things in place to get that ready to go. You have to help the universe, but you also don't need to. You never want to think negatively about something. So you don't want to think like, oh, I don't have that 35 million, or I don't have that, whatever it is, because then you are creating that. That's how incredible our creation skills are. So we just have to learn how to harness it. I'm even careful about when I'm talking now, because the other day, I think I told you guys that I was saying during my show, like, oh, nobody shows up here on time anymore. You guys all get here late and there's nobody here when I get here. And then Doug messaged me after the show, like, you just talked about the front of the show. You're talking about manifesting. The second half of the show, you're saying, aren't you manifesting that nobody? I'm like, oh shit, you're right. I am. I'm the reason that there's nobody there. So I don't say that anymore. Let's start with our first guest. We've got Upside Down Guy. What up, my friend? Claptrapism. I like claptrapism better, to be honest with you. What's happening? We're going to see. There you go. You scared me for a second.
Yeah, I'm not hearing anything.
You're not hearing me? Oh, I got to add myself to the stream. There you go. Now you hear me.
Okay. Hey, what's going on, man?
Another day, another dollar.
You're scared of airplanes?
No, I was. No, so I didn't get to the end of that story. So then when I had to fly to North Carolina for the conference, we're driving up to San Francisco. My wife's like, how you feeling? I'm like, I'm fine. I usually get nervous when I get there. And then I got there and I was like, fine. And I got on the plane. I was like, fine. I was like, oh shit, I'm not afraid of flying anymore. So I think it was because I became a flat earther.
I was thinking of The Simpsons when Marge is afraid of planes and she's like, I want off.
You have no camera tonight? Oh, thank God. Thank you for sparing us.
Yeah, I'm too ugly for it. I've realized. But I'm afraid of heights, like when I'm like on like a loose edge or something, like even on like a bridge, like a high bridge. Like I don't know.
It can be kind of it can be kind of scary.
But like I was never really afraid of like while I'm flying. Like the landing's a little nerve-wracking.
Now, see, that's different for me. For me, the landing's the best part because you're down. What I don't like is the turbulence when you're way up high. But I guess it was before I knew how planes worked. I used to think like a plane could like fall out of the sky.
Yeah, you're just hitting like air currents, really, like air waves.
Right, and they're basically like gliders. I mean, if you needed to, if the engines all went, the plane could still glide down. It's not going to.
I guess it's like
drop like a rock.
I guess we're hitting crosswind in there.
Yeah, and then they've got like some, usually they fly around that. The computer flies around. It's crazy. Crazy what planes can do.
Good old computers. Hey, but I sent you a link.
Telegram?
The Son of God. No, here on.
Okay.
Here, if it's still there. Yeah, I closed it. Yeah, I couldn't preview here the stream while I was backstage. It was kind of weird.
That's because I didn't add myself. I just did.
Yeah, I was like, what am I doing? But the Son of God is like the Son of God, and at 8 minutes and 50 seconds, if you could play for a few minutes.
At 8:50?
Yeah.
Okay.
You could just play for the 3 minutes, really.
Okay. Sounds good. We'll do that. And thanks a lot. And thanks for buying those people those memberships yesterday. That was nice of you.
Yeah, I didn't know. It's like completely random. So whoever chats next.
Oh, you didn't actually name the people? It picks it for you?
Yeah, it's just random. Well, I don't know if there was an option or anything, but it was like the next 5 people that chatted after it. Got it.
Okay. I didn't know that's how it worked. Well, thank you for doing that. Very kind of you. All right, we'll watch that and talk to you soon.
All right, later, man.
Later. All right, that was Upside Down Guy. We're going to watch a movie that he has requested. You can do the same if you have something you want us to watch. We're going to watch The Son of God is the Son of God. And it's going to start now, and we'll be back in, 2 minutes.
He was also known as the King of Kings, the Son of God, the Light of the World, the Alpha and Omega, the Lamb of God, and many, many others. After being betrayed by his disciple Judas and sold for 30 pieces of silver, he was crucified, placed in a tomb, and after 3 days was resurrected and ascended into heaven. First of all, the birth sequence is completely astrological. The star in the east is Sirius, the brightest star in the night sky, which, on December 24th, aligns with the 3 brightest stars in Orion's belt. These 3 bright stars in Orion's belt are called today what they were called in ancient times, the 3 kings. The 3 kings and the brightest star, Sirius, all point to the place of the sunrise on December 25th. This is why the 3 kings follow the star in the east, in order to locate the sunrise, the birth of the sun. The Virgin Mary is the constellation, Virgo, also known as Virgo the Virgin. Virgo is also referred to as the house of bread. And the representation of Virgo is a virgin holding a sheaf of wheat. This house of bread and its symbol of wheat represent August and September, the time of harvest. In turn, Bethlehem, in fact, literally translates to house of bread. Bethlehem is thus a reference to the constellation, Virgo, a place in the sky, not on earth. There is another very interesting phenomenon that occurs around December 25th, or the winter solstice. From the summer solstice to the winter solstice, the days become shorter and colder. And from the perspective of the northern hemisphere, the sun appears to move south and get smaller and more scarce. The shortening of the days and the expiration of the crops when approaching the winter solstice symbolized the process of death to the ancients. It was the death of the sun. And by December 22nd, the sun's demise was fully realized, for the sun, having moved south continually for 6 months, makes it to its lowest point in the sky. Here a curious thing occurs. The sun stops moving south, at least perceivably, for 3 days. And during this 3-day pause, the sun resides in the vicinity of the Southern Cross, or Crux, Australis, constellation. And after this time on December 25th, the sun moves 1 degree, this time north, foreshadowing longer days, warmth, and spring. And thus it was said, the sun died on the cross, was dead for 3 days, only to be resurrected or born again. This is why Jesus and numerous other sun gods share the crucifixion, 3-day death, and resurrection concept. It is the sun's transition.
Okay, we watched that. That is called The Son of God is the Son of God, and that's on the Son of Saturn channel. And I was just going to show you this. I don't know if you guys, I'm sure you remember this. There's always these lies that they tell, because if you remember, this here was on, I don't remember the exact date. Oh, right here, September of 2017. And this is probably the last one that I fell for. This is the last one that I was kind of buying into, like, oh, it could be the end. I no longer think when anybody says it's the end, I no longer give it any credence, and I think it's all bullshit. I think it's just meant to be scary. Now, I would have to do deep research into this, but I have trouble believing that this isn't written recently, because the story that we're talking about here is in Revelation, right? But they kind of know all about what's happening in the sky on certain days, because here's the look of the sky, right? And then when you look at Revelation 12, it says, a great sign appeared in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun. Well, here's Virgo, and she's clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and the moon are under her feet, and a crown of 12 stars on her head, and she's got a crown of 12 stars on her head. And she was pregnant and cried out in pain, and she's pregnant with Jupiter. He's in here in her stomach. So, I mean, the fact that, like, those things, like, that's not mistaken, right? So we can't believe that, like, oh, here's John and he's on some island of Patmos and he's getting these downloads from God and Jesus. No, it's a complete and total deception. Okay, they didn't hide the sky inside of what the vision that John had. Doesn't even make sense. Doesn't even make sense. So we know that these things are being put in there recently. We don't know how long even Revelation's been in there. Again, if you want to believe a couple writings from the ancients, somebody asked me recently, just so you understand this, they're like, why don't historians question, because they're like, the Bible's definitely true. Why don't historians question the Bible characters? Why do they just agree that they all existed? I'm like, because if they take away that, there's so much more evidence in the Bible for Noah, for Abraham, for all those people than there is for any of the science people. There's not even a book from Aristophanes. So if they were to go after those people in the book, in the Bible, then they have to get rid of all of their science people who have even less evidence, right? They have just basically a paper saying, I read this book by this guy, and then they claim that he wrote the book and they say what he wrote about. Just because they have one paper that says, this guy wrote a book. It's the easiest thing to fake anyway. Anyway, let's get off that. But it goes on and on, right? That there's a sign appeared in heaven, an enormous red dragon, which Draco's right next to that, with 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns on its heads, and his tail swept a third of the stars of the sky and flown to earth. But you always see this kind of stuff right here where it says, once in 7,000 years. So you just go to a planetarium and you just rotate, and it happens like every 50 years, right? So, or even less. I don't even remember. It's maybe less than that, like every 10 years or something. But these people are like, once in 7,000 years. I mean, the Christians that lie about the end of the world is crazy to me. It's just crazy. Oh, it's the end times, the times of Noah, and they want the end to come. I don't know if you guys remember that one Globebuster episode where I got in a fight with Ceiling Fan Man. Is that who it was? His name is? I think so. But it was because, and he kind of did the same thing as me. At the beginning of the show, he's talking about manifesting, this and that. And at the end of the show, he's like, and we know that this world's just gone, so it's just over. Let's just give up. Let's just turn it. I'm like, wait. I'm like, are you trying to bring about the end of the world? It's like, yeah, that's what we want. Like, why? Because that's when Jesus comes back. I'm like, oh, shit. Now we've got people that are even advocating or even moving things towards the end of the world. Think how this all plays into the elite. So now people are going to actually try and make the end of the world come quicker. Oh, boy. And again, if we're the only ones here, if we're not going to have any savior, which I don't think we do. I think the savior that we all have is right inside of us. We just need to come together as a group. And you don't need everybody. It's not like we need all 8 billion people to believe the same thing. We just need to start getting those numbers and move those things into place. This is why they push fear in the news. This is why they push all the bad stories, all the racism, because we literally create the world every day. I know it sounds hard to imagine, and I could give you examples, but let's try it this week. Here's a homework assignment. Like, oh, come on, Jared's coming. It's homework. When are I going to do homework? I'm just kidding. We're going to give you a homework assignment, though. Your homework assignment is to list 5 things that you want to change about yourself. Just 5. But list them I guess in this case, you're just going to list like my punctuality, my eating habits, my sleeping habits, whatever, just like that, okay? And then out of those top 5, you're going to take 3 of them, and you're going to write a positive affirmation about them. So if it is that I only eat leafy greens until 6 p.m., something like that, right? I eat a protein shake only before 4 p.m., something like that. Okay. So you're going to go through and you're going to write positive statements. So you can't say like, I'm going to stop. You can't say something future either. Okay. You can't, because you're manifesting future. We want to manifest now. So we're going to say, like I say every morning, I'm on time for all my streams. That's all I say. And 2 other ones. But I'm saying it's just that short of a line. I'm on time for all my streams. It's said about 5, 6, 7 times while I'm brushing my teeth. That's it. But that's what I want you guys to do is take those 3 things that you want to change, make a positive statement. So, I actually, whatever it is, take out the trash. I don't know what you need to get done in your life. That's up to you. But whatever it is, write it down, write 3 of them, then record it on your phone like as an audio. And then every day when you brush your teeth, turn on that audio and let it play. And after like 2 weeks, you'll be saying those things in your head. You'll memorize it by then. And then it actually becomes who you are. It's incredible. So again, I'm just just like I did with the rice experiment, it doesn't do me any good to tell you it's working for me because you'll be like, no, Jaron, you're just doing this or doing that. So you have to do it yourself. That's all I can say. And you'll be shocked at the results because really, if you think about it, when God creates, which is all that there is, I am and I create. That's it, right? And the I am creates, it cannot have doubt. Okay. The creator of the world doesn't doubt anything because it's just creating. It's just actively creating, and it just creates. It doesn't have a doubt, because if you have doubt, you're going to get shitty kind of, oh, no, this worked in. So you have to be the same way. So it's not, you cannot have any doubt. You can't be thinking of it as a wish. I don't know how to explain it to you. I woke up every day and I said to myself, I am on time for all my streams. And then right after I was on time for like the first 3, it became really easy, because then I was just saying, I am on time for all my streams, meaning like in the past, right? So then it just became part of the future. Just became what I do. So again, I'm going to add some new ones to it, because I think we can take that pretty far. You'll be pretty shocked. And again, if you're not somebody who believes in it, then don't even try it, because you can't. It's not going to happen for non-believers, right? If you don't believe it's going to happen, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. That's not the point of it. The point is you have to create with no infringement, with no barriers. So no, oh, I want to do this next week, or because again, if you think lack, so if you think to yourself like, I never have enough money. Well, what you're doing is you are creating that. That is what you just created. So you have to say things like as if it's happened, and actually put things in place to make those things happen. And I think you'll be shocked with what happens. So nobody's there. All right. So I'm going to open the phone lines. We're already at 3:53. See if we can get through an hour. If we're not, well, I can keep talking. But I did a lot of talking yesterday, so check that show out. I know I was going to stick to the religion on just Saturday, but it fit well with yesterday, the idea of what happens when you bow to authority, because this is what Bible worship really is, right? Think about it. God gave you free will, handed you on a platter. Here's son, free will. Wow, this is the greatest gift that's ever been given, right? The opposite of that gift would mean that God put us here as robots who don't have any thinking capacity, or you just have to do what you're told. Well, nobody wants that. That's ridiculous. So we did get the best gift ever. We're given this gift, and then people are choosing to take the gift of free will and say, okay, now that I have this free will, which man can I learn from? Which man is going to take me to Jesus? Which man is going to show me the truth? And the sad fact is none, right? That's the sad part. So we have to have compassion for, well, I want to have compassion for those people that I'm upsetting, because I got a couple of emails yesterday. I get it. I am not doing a good job of attacking the religion, not the people. And I have to keep saying this. I was where you are. So I recognize that just because today you're upset at me, maybe in a week, maybe in a month, maybe in a year, you'll fall into these places. My hope is that you come back and give me a nice, hey, Jaron, by the way, I know I give you some hard time, but thanks, bro. But again, I don't need you to listen to me. I don't want you to listen to me. I want you to do what you think is best for your life. And if that is the worshiping of the Jew demon YHWH, hey, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? So anyway, these are it's just crazy the amount of Christians that think the world's going to end in their lifetime. I really think it's like high 90%. High 90% of people who think, because everybody I've ever asked, well, there's been like 2 since I've had the show, that I say, is Jesus coming back? I don't know. But my grandparents thought it, my mom thought it, everybody thought Jesus is coming back. So it seems like a brilliant thing to inject into the story, probably in the 1800s, the idea of some rapture, and that people are going to be taken up into the sky, and your mom's going to go up, but you're going to be stuck down here because you're just a terrible kid. It just, none of that really works. It just doesn't. Now let me see what we got here. All right. So let me open the phone lines just in case that's the reason nobody's calling. And again, if you want to come on the show, it's tinyurl.com/cornerism. Come say hi. I'll get you the phone numbers right now. Well, it's 888-698-FLAT, but let me turn it on. What do we got here? We got to go to call-in studio. I would recommend this call-in studio, but I'm not going to, because it's expensive as all get out. And they didn't give me a deal when I asked them for a deal. I was like, hey, I'll call my show. I'll say, and now we go to the call-in studio call boards, promote you. And they go, we don't do no promotions. Okay, whatever. Just keep charging fucking ridiculous prices then. Start show as host. Save show and start show 2 calls maximum. Yes. And, we already got somebody. Sweet. 404-940. So I almost read this person's phone number. Okay, wake up, Jaron. 1 second, I'm going to start the show, and then I'll be right with you. We're ready.
Ready to connect.
This
Click
lady,
connect
she's
to
so
show
cool.
now.
Listen to her. She's so cool. She got the best voice. should do some ASMR. Probably. Boom. All right, let's go to.
Welcome, host.
Thank you.
You are now in the host room
Gracias.
and can manage your callers from the
Gracias.
Call-in Studio
Okay.
web interface.
Thank you. 404. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Jaron. How you doing?
Good.
Hey, wake up, Jared.
You have to turn off
I'm gonna start the show.
the. You have
I
to,
got to turn off mine.
yeah, either Rokfin or YouTube.
YouTube.
Yeah, just turn it off and then you can hear me here.
Okay, great.
There you go. All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Nice talking to
Okay.
you.
EK. Sorry. Go.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, okay. I said it's nice talking to you. I've been listening to you for since 2015 when this whole thing started.
Yep.
You and all the other guys.
Thank you.
And so let me ask you this about this religion thing.
Okay.
Do you think there's a God? Do you think that God exists?
100%.
There's some type of spiritual entity called God?
100%. Yep. The creator of all. Yes. All this is
Right.
This is definitely in a mind of God, or the mind of God is responsible for it. I think that we exist in that mind of God. Like there is no. They've tried to sell us on like a physical location, right? That's why they do the whole space and what's below the earth, above the earth, left to right. You know, the earth, there's stars 25 trillion miles away. I don't believe that. I believe that
Right.
it all exists in the mind of God. There's not really distances like that. Right, like 50 million miles.
I'm a flat earther.
Oh, cool.
So I'm a flat earther, and I, you're one of my teachers when it comes to this flat earth thing. I've learned a lot from you, but sometimes, and I like the way your mind works when it comes to this religion thing, but I'm trying to sort of get, would you rather think that human beings, if you were the master of all things and looking at human beings today, would you think that human beings can make decisions to help our own selves live a better life if you were to leave us to do our own thing? With say for example, Christians that limit themselves, let's say they tell themselves, you know what, the Bible says not to drink alcohol, so I wouldn't drink alcohol.
Right.
The only thing that stops them from drinking alcohol is because of the authority they have assigned to the Bible. Now, assuming everybody takes off, the Bible does not restrict anybody anymore. What do you think? Do you think human beings can live without any type of restriction and we do what we want? We let our free will guide us. You think, just based on what you know about human beings, do you think we can do that?
Yes. In fact, the ills that are done are because of the things allowed in the Bible. The Bible is telling people that slavery is okay, selling your daughter into slavery. You've got people raping other people raping their fathers, people making naked their fathers, people sleeping with their brothers and sisters. Everything in the Bible is a mess, and yet people look at that as like their moral compass. The true moral compass is simply the idea of not infringing on the rights of others. So everything of the 10 Commandments, other than love God as is the only God, and keep the Sabbath holy. Everything else is like infringing on other people, right? So if you're lying about people, if you're stealing from people, if you're coveting somebody's wife, if you're it's all the taking away of rights. If you murder somebody, so if you steal from somebody, I guess honor thy father and mother, kind of different. But I don't think those things need to be said. Like I actually had a Christian, tell me that he wouldn't know that it was wrong to cheat on his wife if it wasn't for the Bible. So again, I'm like, what do you mean? Like if you've come together, two people, and you said, hey, we're going to spend our lives together, well, it should be implied that you're not going to sleep with other people. So it's not a matter of the Bible didn't teach you that. Now, again, you might say, well, the Bible is the one that taught us marriage. Well, the Bible does talk about a man and one woman coming together, but I'm pretty sure that would have happened naturally, considering that's how babies are made. So we would have learned that like a baby is raised better if the mother and father are in the house, and he gets a little bit of the love from the mom and a little bit of the discipline from the dad. That's the ideal situation for a child, right? So I do think that humans are capable of some of these things, but it's not right now, because I mean, if you go listen to some of these other shows like Made by Rimjob, they think that things like, oh, I was like, what is that? That's my bell. Things like slavery. He'll say like, well, what's wrong with slavery? Well, what's wrong with a cult? I don't really believe in free speech. Like because the Bible is their arbiter of truth, they are, I think, worse people than the people who have evolved past that, right? Like you and I know that slavery is wrong, right? We don't need to, there's no question there because you're keeping somebody against their will, period. But then these guys want to just argue all day. They'll be like, well, what about if it's indented servitude? It's like, no, you're not listening. It says slavery, and it talks about leaving those slaves to your children. So God was clearly talking about having people as, and because it's such a problem, like, why can't we just as a human race be like, you're right, somebody else wrote that in there. That God would be so impressed to me. I mean, to me, I would think God would be impressed with that. He'd be like, oh, good, these humans figured out the things that were written in that book are not all true. Otherwise, what's going to happen is everybody accused him of being a murderer and hell, for all I know, God left. God took off because here we are like blaming him for murder. He killed some guy because he picked up sticks on the Sabbath. Like God's probably up in heaven like, what the hell? I never do that. Again, I don't believe in that particular God. But
but as a Christian, I don't believe in a lot of the things the typical Christians believe. And I think God has similar characteristics like a human being because he said it in the Bible that he has all the different emotions, anger, and all that.
So do you think do you think a God would have those emotions? Because to me, then you're not really a God, right? Like
no, I think
like God, they say God is jealous. Think about this for a second now. You're God. Yeah. You can't. The thought of being jealous would be impossible. What do you mean you're jealous? Jealous of what? You created the beings, and I always like to give this example of kind of looking at my floor over here and pretending like I created a bunch of little tiny half-inch little beings down there. Imagine that I'm like, I created all those beings, and then I'm like, I'm jealous because they're down there worshiping another God. Like, that's not even a human doing that would be very, very petty of them. It'd be very petty of me to be like, I created those little beings, and they're now worshiping other little beings, and they're not worshiping me. But we turn that and act like it's a great thing. Like, oh, God's jealous and he's vindictive, and he only wants one God. And then people cuck to that. They're like, no, if God can do that if he wants, he created us, I got to follow him. And that to me is the test.
But Jerry,
yeah,
just based on the fact that we're flat earthers, right? We do know for certain that somebody did create this place.
Yes.
Whatever, if it's a dome, the way the sun works, this is at the highest level that our brains can't even understand what is going on.
Correct.
And if that being, from the way I see the God in the Bible, you said it earlier, he seems to have limitations. Right. Because again, otherwise there would have been no point for a whole host of things in the Bible, like the three wise men, the kings going to Herod, and Herod says, if you find a baby, come and tell me and I'll go worship him. And the mother is told to take the baby away because otherwise the baby will be killed.
Right.
God can't, these things don't make no sense. But if we put the book aside and we can put God outside of this existence, then who is he? He must be within his jurisdiction. There might be another government which he's king of. He must have maybe commanders and elders and rulers that he governs with. And this is like a playground where certain rules are not met because his commanders or his people, his subjects in the spirit realm might also have their own free will. And therefore they interfere with us, they interact with us in a different way that he probably as a God did not want. So if you think of it that way, because for me, I don't trust human beings. I just don't trust people.
Me neither.
To make the right decision for me or my family.
Correct.
So to say that, what we can do, I mean, looking in history, I've never seen any good decision by human beings.
But the problem is we're being led by psychopaths and a lot of religious people throughout history, right? So a lot of the decisions that are made, I mean, the Crusades, everything that's happened with, those are all holy wars. I mean, sending the new explorers over to the West and capturing all the natives and making them become Christian. Like all that is, doesn't seem correct to me. So let me just give you this idea and you tell me what's wrong with this. So when I try and play out in my head, what could be going on here? The easiest way for me to rationalize it is it seems like a magic existence, doesn't it? I mean, if you really think about it, like the fact that we're all here and nobody knows why and nobody gets it, it's really magical. And it's amazing if you came here and you weren't indoctrinated from the age of 3. And so you didn't ever see a globe and you never saw the planets and you never saw, Star Wars and all this nonsense that they just feed your mind. we would think of the earth as magical. We would really think that, and then imagine the sun and moon come and we learn that they work like a perfect clock. Our existence could have been so much better if it wasn't for science and education, and in which case they take children and they immediately rob you of all your hope and wonder and your natural love for what's around you. And they put you in a school where there's a lady sitting up front and she reads from a book, and then your job is to just repeat that stuff, right? So they gear you right from the beginning into a very materialistic, follow rules, don't think outside the box, do what we say, get A's on your tests, and you'll move up in the world. And this is what they do to every child. So we all go through this process, and we're robbed of that beauty. Now, they even go worse than that. They had somebody come along and be like, oh, we know what the moon is. We know what the sun is. We know its temperature when it gets this far outside, and we know what it's made of, and we know how far away it is. If none of that is true, maybe these are, they were signs of creation that those guys just stole. They don't even know it. They're not even correct about their numbers, but they know that since nobody can go there, if they knew nobody can go to the sun, and they know nobody can go to the moon, then as long as they get there first, then whatever they say goes. So what it becomes is this whole materialistic existence where they get to rule. Now they get to rule everything because we are busy thinking, Jesus said it's hard for a rich man to get into heaven. So none of us are rich. We all are afraid of getting rich because it's hard to get into heaven if you're rich. Well, now the elite are all rich. They have all the money, right? Because this is part of their plan. So same thing is true with, the meek will inherit the earth. So people are like, oh, the meek, well, we don't know that's going to happen. That's just something that was said. Now, let me ask you this. Wouldn't it make sense? This is what rationally works to me, that God doesn't interject in lives. We know that. I mean, there's children killed every day. So God's not sitting up there and like if a child runs out in the street, he's stopping the child from running out in the freeway. If that was happening, then that would happen all over and there wouldn't be children dying. Okay, but there is children dying. My niece died at the age of 5 from an asthma attack. So there is children dying that their family prayed for them. We can't say like, oh, that family prayed harder than this family. No, that's not it either. So when you really start to look at it, what makes sense to me is that I do understand that a God would know all things, right? This is what I think Christians believe that. They call it omnipotent, omnipresent, omnipotent, whatever. There's like these 3 or 4 words.
Yeah.
So, and I agree with all those except for the one that says that God knows the future. And the reason I don't believe that is because I don't think you would exist, meaning you would just cancel yourself out. Why exist if you know everything that's going to happen? You have to really think about that. If you knew every moment from now forever, then you really don't exist. You already existed. You already went through all that. You already know it. So why would you exist?
You're talking about God knowing the future or us knowing the future?
God knowing the future, because God can't know the future. Well, here's what I think. So I think that in order to not know the future, God did what he had to do, which was if he separates himself into multiple pieces and has each one of those pieces have free will, immediately he's introduced the same problem that science has, which is a 3-body problem. That you cannot know the outcome of an event if there's more than one free will agent involved. Because God doesn't know what that agent's going to choose, and he doesn't know the agent of the other one's going to choose. So right then, now there is no way to calculate the outcome of the event. So what I think happened is God created all of us. We all have a piece, the equal piece of God within us. It's that voice inside you. It's your conscience. It's what tells you what's right and wrong. I believe people lie to themselves and lie to me when they say like they don't have that conscience, or you'll have Made by Rim Job say, oh, so then everybody could just do whatever they want and call it good. Sure, you can say that, but those people inside them know what's right and what's wrong. You're pretending like some people don't know that. We all do. Some people maybe have shunned it or pushed it away or swept it under the rug, but it is there. And if they've swept under the rug, that's their free will. They chose to do that. We can't stop them from that. If somebody wants to turn away from God and do whatever they want, they can do whatever they want. Now, if they break laws and things like that, we'll have to deal with them in that capacity. But to me, then it makes so much more sense. It's so much more beautiful that God is experiencing, because God, to me, the creator God, must be all good. And so that God doesn't even know bad things. It doesn't know death and destruction and things like that. But by creating itself into all these pieces and then putting us into a simulation, if you want to call it that, or putting us into a real world, then what happens is God experiences all those things. So now the creator God that's all good, just by separating himself and giving us each personalities, is now able to experience things that are not all good. Because God is not acting, he's just keeping you going. He's keeping your body alive, keeping you moving, but he's not making your decisions. He might be that voice inside you, but it is your free agency. It is your free will. So to me, what that creates is a whole world where, and God's in charge of it. So if at any point it got out of hand, God could probably just start it over or, blink it out of existence and it's just gone. We're all gone. But I think it's just a cool story to think that God is all of us. So he's experiencing everything. So it's because Christians always have this question, right? You always have people say, well, why evil? Why does death exist? Why does these tsunamis exist? Well, they're all probably conditions of our causing, meaning like earthquakes are probably our fault somehow, either weather manipulation, frequency changes, whatever people are doing when they mess with things. Probably a lot of these things are our fault. And we don't see them that way. And that's what we want to blame. Why does God allow these things? Well, I have that question too. But if God has no choice, meaning he's all of us. So God can't stop something from happening unless it's us that stop it. And guess what? That happens too. Have you seen where like a woman will lift up a car to get a baby out from underneath it? Like there's like stories of people doing things that are impossible. Call it a miracle, if you will. Right? So a baby gets stuck under a car, the car falls, whatever, and a woman lifts the car up to get the baby out. Right? Something's impossible. But that to me could be God. Right? And so the other thing that I noticed is you can't pray for something that will change somebody else's free will. That wouldn't be allowed, right? I can't say like, oh God, please let that girl come by and do this to me or come by and talk to me. Well, no, that's not going to work because now you're asking God to impact somebody else's free will. But you can pray to yourself. Why? Because you are God. You're saying like, please let me have strength tomorrow at this job interview, or please let me be more understanding with my children, or please let me be, more accommodating to my wife. Those things I think you can pray to those things. So to me, it just makes more sense than the idea of this jealous, vindictive, God isn't jealous. What is God jealous of? There's only God. There's no, if somebody worships another God, that wouldn't make him jealous. It would make him be like, well, I don't know. He wouldn't care. Like, why would he care? I don't know. To me, it's just.
Would you think that the current, society or the moral paradigm in society, would you think that is like the powers that be now, they allow everything? They think men are women, women are men. They're changing our actual reality.
Right. So you're saying, okay, I see what you're saying there. So you're asking like,
do you think then that if the powers that be now are changing even the basic fundamental physical things that we see, they're telling it's blue, they say it's red. And they want us to know that God doesn't exist. They're doing everything to say the morals that has guided us is wrong. And now they're about to introduce a new moral standard. So again, if we don't have anything else to guide us and we have to rely on ourselves and say, hey, I'm God, I can do it. Don't you think that is also, I'm just trying to.
Yeah, I get you.
You can appreciate the limitation of men.
Yeah, but I think also.
Say, you can do it, but.
So then also to think though that the limitation of men would take place when God gave them whatever to write down, right? Like they still have to write it exactly right. We don't know that happened. I'm just saying that you can look at limitations on both sides, but I see what you're saying about what's the way the direction the world's going. And the reason it's going that direction is because people aren't standing up for what they know is right. Right. And that's their own fault. Like there's a voice inside everybody that screams at them that, the trans thing is not right. But the problem with it is that society is canceling you if you say that, right? So you basically get shunned into a corner. You get pushed into a corner where you're not allowed to say anything about that. So a lot of celebrities or people that are higher up or people on TV, they're not going to speak out against it because they'll be canceled. Now I see what you're saying. Wouldn't that lead us then down to a path of destruction because we're not adhering to this so-called Bible or whatever? But again, the Bible does talk about slavery. So are we supposed to go back to owning slaves? So there's not a clear answer to me like, oh yes, if the Bible was perfect, then I would say that I agree with you. But I don't think it's perfect. I think there's some bad things in there, some things that we don't want to do anymore, some changes we want to make. So again, who makes those decisions? That's a tough one. I don't know.
Let me ask you, Jaron, one last one before I go.
Yeah.
I've heard you guys when most flat earthers trying to describe why are they hiding it from the world, and the descriptive has been multiple things as to why they're hiding the actual shape of the earth.
Right.
I've always thought, could it not be that the actual entities, or let's say the God it's actually the one that is making human beings believe the lie, so that we don't actually discover, and only the certain powers that are, who know this, but they themselves can't even break the seal. Would you consider that maybe something outside of the earth is the reason that is causing? Because sometimes
you mean like if the world was set up as the world is set up as an illusion?
No, like, you can find a rational person, educated, and he can see plain evidence, but yet he says it's a globe,
right?
And it's moving at this speed,
right?
I don't see it as just I think there's something else that is causing such a person to think that way. I don't think it's just I think there's something else operating that is allowing the masses to think and believe that which they know for sure is not true.
Well, it's because of, I don't remember the name of the test, but you've seen that one test where they put 10 people in a room and they're like supposed to look at some papers and see which lines are the same size. The first 3 questions are just easy and everybody gets them right. And then on the 4th one, there's only one person in the room that doesn't know it's a test. One person thinks it's real. And so then they show the 4th card and the people start going down the line saying which lines are matching, and they say the wrong one on purpose. Like 1 and 3, 1 and 3. And it gets to that guy and he says 1 and 3. And then it keeps going, even though clearly that's not the right answer. But because everybody else at the table said it, he just didn't want to be the outcast. Well, I think that's really what goes on, is that they've done a good job of making sure people don't feel comfortable speaking out against something that they don't have a background in, right? So if you're going to talk about electrical engineering and you're not an electrical engineer, you kind of shut your mouth. You don't know anything about that. That's somebody else's job, and somebody else has to step up and say that. So to me, I think that that's what's going on. You have people who, in order to feel smart and accepted by society, have to conform to whatever the mainstream is. And it's not safe to not believe that. It's not safe to have your own thoughts because people will make fun of you. People will laugh at you. So I just think there's so many people that are lazy and dumb, and that's just the direction that they go. And again, it only would have taken like one generation. Everybody believes that the Earth's a ball and we're flying through space. And now at this point, who's going to come out against it? Which famous person? Shaq tried. He had to go on Jimmy Kimmel and retract. Kyrie Irving's tried. He's had to go through hell. B.O.B. tried. He doesn't even have a label anymore. So if you try, look at Kanye West. Where'd Kanye West go? I'm just saying, I know it's a little bit different, but it's the same kind of deal. That if you mess with these people, they will take away your money. They will take away your ability to make money. And so they really have just sealed up all the holes. There's nobody who's going to step out who makes good money, who has a following, who has an audience. Nobody's going to step out and say it, because if they do, they're going to lose their money. So, and it's unfortunate, but the money makes the world go round. Get it? It does. It's the money that keeps the earth spinning, because without that money, then you can't control people to cuck to that lie anymore. And then you got people like the YouTube people that have channels. They're just idiots. They had nothing else to do. Then all of a sudden they saw a flat earth and they're like, oh my God, there's something that I'm smart enough to refute. I can actually, so they made channels. I'll fight the flat earth. And they're so proud of themselves because they think that they're pushing people towards the truth. What they don't realize is they're actually blocking the truth and helping the deceivers. Maybe one day they'll realize it. Who knows? All right. Well, thanks for the call. I'm going to go to the next call.
Jared.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Theo Kirkley, welcome to the show.
Yes, hello.
Hello. I have to keep you at 4 minutes now. I'm not going to get enough calls.
Hi.
Hello.
Can you hear me, Jaron? I can't hear you.
I was turning out myself to the room again. There you go. Sorry about that.
Okay. It's a little weird. I was trying to listen to the other caller. I couldn't hear him either.
Yeah, it's because I didn't have it on. Sorry, my bad.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, how are you doing?
Good. Thank you. How are you? You doing all right?
I'm feeling a little down.
All right. Why not? Why is that?
Well, the whole thing about the Son of God being like the sun in the sky kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah. I tend to think he was real.
Okay.
So
I tend to think so too. So you're not alone in that. I don't think that some stories about him are true, but I think that I could see a character coming along like a Jesus who saw things differently than everybody was thinking at the time, and a bunch of people followed him, And if that happened, the Romans at the time would have co-opted that. They would have taken the idea and kind of ran with it and said, oh, okay, we're going to push this guy and then kind of make it a state religion. So I could see that happening. Now, again, we'll never know. And this is why I know that it cannot be responsible for or cannot be involved in our salvation. There's just no way God would require you to believe something that you've never seen anything like it, right? So to just believe that somebody was born of a virgin, to me would be a folly. God would look at that as a folly if you're like, why did you believe people can be born of a virgin if you've never seen that? Oh, I read it in a book. Big deal. Okay. So that to me is like, that's the lines that are crossed that I don't, want to venture down. But I do think he was real. I just don't think he rose from the dead. And I don't think that he's God. I don't even think he really said he was God. I think that he's saying what I'm saying, right? So he's saying the kingdom of God is within you. God is within you. So when he says, I and the Father are one, it's the same thing I'm saying. I'm saying me and the Father are one. Now, it's not the same because I'm not trying to, I think people look at it as Jesus was saying they were like one, like, that he's equal to God, but he's not, because he said later when somebody says, hey, good master, he says, why do you call me good? There is only one good, and that's God. So he's even separating himself from the other character. And they're different characters as well. So to me, that just makes more sense that it would be, you've got this Jesus character who comes and he's speaking out against the current ideas. The current ideas at the time were the great big YHWH is going to come down and destroy you in the end days. In the end, the last day is going to be the burning of the earth. So this God scared them. And then Jesus came and says, no, the Sabbath isn't made for, the man isn't made for the Sabbath is made for man. Changing that idea, saying that no man has seen God's face or heard his voice. Well, that's not the Old Testament. The Old Testament has Moses and Abraham and all these people seeing God and hearing his voice. So it just seems like we don't know what he really said, but we can I kind of can take some things from it and say, maybe he was just a visionary and he wanted to change the way the things were, and the Jews killed him.
Absolutely. And I heard that, they changed like elements of the story of Jesus's life to fit with like the religions of the time, because there was this whole like the whole story of Constantine, I think.
Yep.
Constantine, whatever.
Yep.
Is like, hey, we'll just kill these Christians, right? And then they'll get freaked out and they'll stop proselytizing, and they like burned them alive. They pulled them apart. Sorry to be,
No, yeah, I've heard stories.
And they had them, had lions eat them, and still they kept coming. So the guy was like, hey, why don't I, if you can't beat them, join them.
Right.
And just, make this like a Roman religion, I guess. And if I can still, as long as I'm the head honcho, where everything's gravy,
Yeah.
So,
and I guess the other thing I came to is, don't you agree that like, this is probably not something you're going to get to the bottom of? What I mean by that is, because everything's been rewritten and everything's so old and there's no original documents anyway. I mean, we have no original manuscripts of the Bible. They're all later copies, later editions. So to me, it just seems like to think that we'll ever get to the truth of that is impossible. And I would think God would recognize that. We can't prove that George Washington existed. It'd be impossible, because all we have is some writing, some books about him, but there's no photographs, there's no video, there's no audio recording. So really, could George Washington be completely made up? Yes. So if that's the case, then so could Jesus. So could the entire Bible story. And I would think God would recognize that. He would not. There's no way God would be like, no, you really need to believe in the book. Well, why? What about the book tells me I need to believe in it? If it was perfect, like I said, maybe, but it's not.
I see where you're coming from, Jaron, and I would say no. Actually, I disagree. I would say that there is a way to know, and I feel like I found the way to know.
Okay.
And not a lot of people would agree with me, but I think there is a way, and there's also spirit communication, which is a thing. I'm gathering that you don't really believe in spirit communication. Is that about right?
Again, it depends what you mean. If humans are capable of a lot, if you're talking about like actually communicating with spirits on the other side,
yes,
maybe that's possible, but you are inviting that on yourself. You are using your own free will to try and communicate with those other entities. And I don't think that could be a great thing. But so I don't try it personally.
Yeah, well, it can be a not so good thing, but it could be a good thing. I mean, let's say
But how do you know that it's not they say that the devil masquerades as an angel of light. So how do you know whatever's being told to you is not the devil then?
By the feelings that you experience when you communicate. So every time that you experience a falsehood, like anytime someone tells you a falsehood,
yes,
it's going to come with a lot of pain and nasty emotions.
Right.
Anytime you're accepting a truth, it's going to come with very joyful, happy emotions.
Bingo. I agree.
Yeah, and it's going to be the same thing. Like the thing about spirit communication is it's the same thing.
But how do you know that can't be God? What you just described. Why is that God inside you who's doing that?
There's two things. God never speaks in words, so if you're hearing words, it's not God. God always speaks through the emotions. But I think there are higher spirits that are at one with God. Going to an earlier point you made about how Jesus said that he was like one with the Father, which he was, he was actually born again, and he was saying we all could be born again, we all could become one with God, and so they can kind of put into words what God would have you know, and they're the best to do that. The people that are higher, so that's where there is like a hierarchy of knowledge and truth and love, because people that want to tell you truth, they're gonna present the best information to you, and people that want to lie and tell you falsehood because they want to manipulate you or cajole you, or they want something from you. People that love you don't want something from you except to just help you, and they get vicarious enjoyment out of doing that because it's always a joy to love someone. That's how God made it.
Right, but what you just described is not the God of the Bible. You just said that they don't want anything from you, but we're told that God does want something from you. He wants your worship, your adoration,
as you know, a lot of that stuff is BS.
Yeah, I get that. Yes.
I loved what you were saying about God, not being jealous and angry. If you really think about those emotions, those are really piss poor emotions. At the end of the day,
they're very weak emotions.
Exactly. I used to do this job where I would dig window wells. We would replace old window wells. They got rusted out and we put in new ones. I was with the same guy every day, day after day after day. And sometimes it wasn't very peaceful. And what would happen is I would judge him, and then he would judge me, and I'd judge him, and we get upset with each other. And I'd be like, fuck, I hate being with this fucking jerk right now. Fuck.
Right.
And like I would look at him funny, and I'd kind of like put a space between myself and him. And if you can try to imagine God feeling that way, like it doesn't work, because God would not feel that way. That's me feeling that way. That's a very weak emotion that I have to work through.
So the one problem I have then is that this is my problem with people like you that, okay, we're on the same page completely. But my question is, so once you see that, why do you then still take some things of the Bible and actually make them as part of your belief system if you now just admitted to yourself that clearly whoever's talking about God probably didn't get him right? So how do you know where to draw the line of I'm going to pray to Jesus, or I'm going to call Jesus God, or how do you know? Wouldn't it be better to kind of give up that whole thing?
Well, what I've done is I've just thrown out the idea that it's all true. Like, I think where most Christians stumble is that they're my understanding is the best term for it is just fundamentalism.
Yep.
Like every freaking gosh,
literalist, right? Literalist, Bible literalist, and the thing about
right. Yeah. Bible literalism. I'm not a Bible literalist.
Good.
And I have gone through a lot. Like I've looked into a lot of different teachings. I was into New Age. I went to a mosque. That was very interesting. I looked into Buddhism.
Can I come back to you? I'm going to get a call, and then I'll come back to you if you want to stay there, or do you want to finish off in the next minute? You tell me which one.
I'd rather come back and talk more.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Let me just go check the phones. Be right with you. We're just going to make sure these calls. I see calls over here. Maybe not. Call in queue. Oh, yeah. 647. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Jaron. It's Daniel from Toronto.
What's up, Daniel from Toronto? How are you? I'm going to start your clock. I'm not doing very good at the clock today. So 4 minutes. Go ahead.
Yeah. I know I've been listening partially, and I'm the same guy as Dan from Toronto.
Hello, Dan and Daniel.
Anyhow, your system is definitely, when I was now in queue, I didn't hear the caller, so it's kind of
that side, because that's StreamYard. It's not the call, but okay. I don't think I can ever fix that.
Yeah. So it's hard to be fully in the pictures, but let's. I want to react to a few points.
Okay.
First, with regard to the moral compass, which is built in us, as you said, some people advocate, we know that cheating on our spouses is bad because we know this from the Bible. Yeah. The story is there are native tribes around the world which still practice polygamy. Yeah. So, and there are some tribes which are not aware of so-called Christian culture or concept.
Right.
So when we talked last time on last show about that the moral codex or compass is kind of a little bit living thing.
Yes.
And it's a combination of the values which were passed on us from parents,
right,
and some other institutions. Then it works both ways. Yeah? So for those people who are living in the culture where Christianity, it's not in the picture, and polygamy is normal, the cheating of the wife is not bad.
I mean, that wouldn't even be cheating necessarily, right?
Yes.
Right.
I use the term, but it's.
And to be honest with you, I'm not somebody who thinks that polygamy is that bad. I mean, if you have a loving father that has 2 or 3 wives, and then they're all raising children together, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, I know most people would be like that. It's terrible, but I'm just saying it's not the end of the world. There's much worse going on.
It's consensual from the both sides. Yeah?
Right.
So it's kind of that polygamy which was alluded in the Old Testament.
Right.
When let's say a patriarch, they had multiple
hundreds
wives, and
hundreds
they
of
were
wives.
kind of happy with that.
Yeah, hundreds of wives, right?
Yeah. So the other thing which I want to just touch on is, as you said, you are not sure, or you don't think that God can, the Creator, can foresee the future.
Well,
I
get. I don't know what you mean about. So again, it's kind of weird because, like, let's say God had an idea of when He wanted to end. What is that noise? Oh, I just hear myself. So if God wanted to end the world in a certain date or whatever, then He can know that future.
Yes.
But as far as what's going to happen tomorrow or the next day across across the entire world, I don't think that that's possible. It's almost an insane thought if you think about it. Like, really think about, there's 8 billion people. Let's say there's 6 billion. I don't even care how many.
Yes.
To think that all the interactions happening between people, which are all dependent on, I mean, if you really think back to when you met your wife or when you met your best friend, or there's always these weird moments in life where it's like, wow, it was just one little fate move that caused me to meet my wife. And then, from there, many different things can happen, or many different avenues happen. So to me, it seems like it would be a little bit weird that God knew all the outcomes of everybody's decision. That's kind of not free will, right? Like,
yes, and that's where I want to step in and say, one thing is processing power of his, let's call it a brain,
right?
And the other thing is, if we were created in His image, as a reflection of Him, and we got this free will, I believe He has a free will as well.
Yes.
And based on that, when you have free will, you can exercise this free will even in intellectual matter, or in respect of ability to foresee. So better, I would say, if He would wanted to know everything about future or possible outcome, maybe He can figure it out with His processing powers.
Possibly.
But the other thing is His willingness. Yeah?
His willingness to know all those things, you mean?
Yes. That moment of surprise or something.
Sure.
Like you
right.
know that
life would suck. We would all think life would suck if we all knew everything that would happen for the rest of our life. Why live it?
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. So same paradigm. I don't want to, I cannot put myself to the God's mind or Creator's mind, but applying the same logic as we experience here, yes, if He would want it, He can do it, but maybe He doesn't want it. Yeah.
Right. That's what I think. I kind of agree with you. I think it's just a better story. It kind of makes sense to me that a God outside of time would create a world in time and then want to be a part of that. And what better way than to be everybody? And each person is born with their own personality that gets to be built around their parents and their support structure, and you become a person, and then you've got your own ego, your own self. And I think that's kind of the illusion, is that we think of ourselves as being separate when we don't realize that we are all one. We're all the same spirit. We're all the same. The spark that's in us is the same. And I'm not even sure if maybe when we all die, that you just go back to source, which is just back to that ultimate bliss feeling, which some people will call heaven, or we're in heaven with God, or I think a lot of these things are just allegories.
Yeah, everything is possible, and you are father. I'm a father as well, and that notion when you observe your kid and doing something. Sometimes you have this notion or feeling, oh, I'm gonna intervene, but sometimes you hold off,
right,
and that's how intelligence, consciousness behave,
right. So, and then one last thing, and I'll let you go. My problem with that is, everything about that is the same. What I want to raise my son like, but when I get lost is when we have God demanding animal sacrifice and things like that. Because
yes, absolutely,
right. At no point is that a good way to raise my son, and I know that, and I'm sure God knows that.
If I can conclude that when we talk about the Bible, if you order a menu in restaurant and this menu consists of 3 ingredients, let's say a steak and some side and some veggies,
okay,
and then I would ask you, what was the meal? It's easy for you to identify because your senses tells you, oh, this was a steak with the potato and some veggies,
right?
But if I put this meal to the blender and then serve you this on dish, and I then ask you, Jaron, what was that?
Yeah, I have no idea.
You have no idea because then you are just guessing. And I think this is a good analogy for the Bible, because I believe Bible canon, as we know it, it's mix of lie and wisdoms and truths. That's this blend which is served to us. It's not black and white, but it's hundreds shades of gray.
Right. I agree with that. And so people should be able to, at this point, read through it, take the good things. And you know what? People, for the most part, do that, right? Like when people quote Bible verses, which happens all the time, they never quote God talking about slavery. They never quote about God ripping birds' heads off. They are taking the good and saying, look at this good statement here, look at this good line here. So for the most part, people already kind of do that. But I think you're right. My biggest problem is the literalist, the fundamentalist, or the person who's going to take it word for, because I don't even think people believe that 200 years ago. 200 years ago, people knew it was allegory. It's just like a new thing. And again, it could be a plan of the elite to just fool people. I don't know. All right, but I appreciate the call.
Yeah. Okay, Jaron. Peace out.
Take it easy. All right, we're going to get one other call from here, and then we're going to probably shut down the phone lines. I'll get to you guys on StreamYard. Give it a second. We've got up next 704. Get rid of that voice of the background.
Hello, am I on?
You're on.
Okay, this is Renee.
Hi, Renee.
I've been enjoying this, and yes, people cherry pick the Bible, and they don't pick the good parts at all. And I do believe that it is because these people really are about power, and they use poor Jesus as a kind of a sheepskin to cover up that that's their real agenda. And so, there's just so many things that have been, I was raised Catholic, and once they put the map in your head of how the world is and how religion is, everything at an early age, that's why they do it. It's hard to undo that, and people get so attached to that, especially when all their family is the same one, that, they will do mental gymnastics in order to hold on to those beliefs,
right.
And so, but I don't think you really start to see the world more accurately until you realize how big the lie is.
Right.
And most people don't see how big it is, and it's tremendous, Like I say, because I was raised Catholic, and those statues were, chalk white. You'd swear Christianity is a white European religion.
Right.
But, And a lot of the white Christians want you to believe that, okay?
There's like Christian white nationalists now that are racist, just straight up racist.
Yeah, exactly. And I have a beef with those people because it's like, let me get this straight. See, they'll do mental gymnastics to try to blame the Jews for killing Jesus. And it takes you almost a while to undo that out your head. No, I watched all them signs of all those, the stuff in the Catholic Church. It was the Romans. It was the white European male occupiers who were in the Middle East where the people were brown. And, God could have gone anywhere. He didn't go to Switzerland for Heidi, okay? It's not Heidi or Gretchen. It was in the Middle East. Apparently God likes brown sugar, okay? Because he went to the Middle East. He could have gone anywhere. But the thing is, he went to the Middle East, and they will do – so those people in that area of the world, brown people, okay? But the thing is, they don't want to make it look like the white European Romans actually were the ones who killed him. And then it's actually like they stole this Middle Eastern brown religion, try to claim it as their own. And then, like I say, I grew up with look at all that art the Catholic Church did, where they're all I mean we're talking really white, okay?
Right.
The statues and the paintings are unrealistically white, as if they were trying to make a point to make sure you didn't make a mistake.
Right.
Okay?
They even made David's Peter really tiny.
Look, to get through this, you have to have a sense of
You got
humor.
it. You can't just be all serious. You'll lose your mind.
No, you can't. Okay, and then too, this gets the sexist really bad. Jesus's favorite was Mary Magdalene.
Mm-hmm.
She was his favorite, and a lot of the other male disciples were kind of jealous. This is in their own book, okay? They were kind of jealous. Like, why is she the favorite? Like a little bunch of little bitches, okay? And then wait, but this proves it with their own book. Who ran from the crucifixion? The men, okay. Who stayed at the cross? The women.
Yeah.
Okay. Who did he first appear to? He could have picked one of the other 12. Oh no, he chose Mary Magdalene. But you see, all these things, the way we were taught it and the way they cherry picked, because they were such sexist, patriarchal little pigs, okay? They never tell you the story in a way, they bias it in a way where you can't see the things they don't want you to see.
Right.
Okay? And those are some of the things they didn't want you to see. Actually, in some ways, that word didn't exist then, but for his time, Jesus, compared to the other people, the way they act, the other men acted in their time, Jesus could have been called the first feminist, okay?
Right.
The way he treated Mary Magdalene and women compared to a lot of the way the other Jews at the time treated women,
right?
Okay? So the thing is, also another thing, all these people that go on and on about homosexuality and abortion.
Right.
Jesus never said poop about that. Okay?
Right.
Never said anything.
You would tend to think Jesus would have
the Old Testament for that.
Right.
You see?
You would tend to think that Jesus would actually hang out with the homosexual, based on.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
He hung out with the common people.
Right.
See, I think, from me looking at this, at that time, I think Jesus, this person that we may call, might have been, to what I see, could have been a person that lived at that time who's kind of like an early psychologist on telling people how to live appropriately. If you pick out the good part, okay?
Yeah. There's enough good lines in there that he could have just been somebody saying, no, it's not that way. The kingdom of God is within you. It's about to get through God, you have to get through me. Talking about the ego. So yeah, there's definitely a chance that he was just doing that.
Yeah, there actually is, And so, people, the thing is, like you've said many times, it's like, you're listening to men and men with agendas,
right.
Because let's face it, they didn't let They didn't let women be clergy, okay? Because they want those. They use their power to give themselves the power positions.
Correct.
And then once they get the power positions, they use it to manipulate in order to hold power for themselves.
Yep.
Okay? It's all about power.
It's exactly why the curriculum's the way it is. Exactly why Rockefeller medicine is the way it is. It's all set up so that those in power stay in power, and not us.
Exactly.
We're the meek.
And let me tell you, that's another big beef. We are doing a show on that, like you say, on the whole thing with allopathic medicine.
Yeah.
But oh God, it's just so evil.
It is so evil, and thank God for people like Amanda Vollmer and these guys who, Dr. Cowan, and stuff that have really changed my mind about that, because that was a worry. This whole thing, sick viruses are going, and then you realize they've never even separated. Things aren't even living. They're like, you're not catching a virus. That's your. How did I hear it described the other day? Somebody said it's like saying that when you drive by and see a fire and there's a bunch of firefighters there, that you're like, oh, those firefighters caused that fire. No, the fire was causing the firefighters are there in response to the fire. So same thing in our bodies. The viruses are a response to our sickness. They're just a cleaning agent. And yet we're like, oh, it must be these viruses that are getting us sick, not that they are the actual part of the repair process.
Yeah, but what's so scary is how all the doctors went along with this. There was a robber baron, I think his last name was Gould, who said, there was a famous quote attributed to him that said, I could hire half the working class to kill the other half.
Wow, that's...
And yeah, right. And how much truth is in that? When you look at cops and everything else, it's like when you see how much all these doctors were such yes men to went along with this, if that didn't scare the bejesus out of you, I don't know. I don't know what would. How? Because you see, most of them are now working for large corporations, and they're not looking out for your health. They're looking out for their job.
Yep, it's all by design. I mean, that's why they took the people who did well in school, because those were always the order followers, right? The people who thought outside the box went to the office.
And this is what I have found too. All these things, these systems were made in the area we live pretty much by white men. But this is the problem that I have seen. As women and people of color finally move up and get a seat at the table, they conform. They absolutely conform.
Well, the thing is, everybody does.
A black woman doctor right now, okay? She's just,
But I mean, here's the sad thing, and I wish people would just admit this to themselves, is that really, we have a lot of virtue signalers in the truther community, but really, if you think about it, there is a dollar amount that would make you stop talking about truth, that would make you just take your family and go move somewhere and just live the rest of your life in peace. Like, that's kind of scary, because it tells you that there's a price for everyone. And it's so easy if you make the money. Imagine how easy it is to run the world. You make the money, you hand it to who you want to do whatever you want them to do. If they won't do it, there's certainly somebody else that will.
Exactly, and that's why people don't realize the most dangerous people are in the middle class. Now, I'm not talking about the small business owners that they pretty much, with this COVID thing, really knocked out so many small business owners and stuff. I'm talking about those people who work in the institutions like banking, medicine, law, government. These people are such yes men.
Yep.
That and in order to keep their place in the middle class, in other words, I look at it like it is the plantation model, and the thing is, the master needs house slaves and overseers to run the plantation. That's the middle class. That's the people in the middle in order to control the field slaves. So in many instances, the most dangerous people who they're guarding their position as house slave or overseer, which is more comfortable than field slave. And see, that's why they're always picking on the poor people at the bottom. And see, I think Jesus understood this. This is why he chose to hang around with the poor people. He knew the difference. He knew that, look, these people you're picking on all the time, they're the amateur sinners. You guys above them
you're the big
are
ones.
The professionals.
Right. Den of Satan, den of, the whole thing. Den of demons, Den of vipers. Sorry, you eventually get there. All right, well, I appreciate your call. Call back next week. That was fun.
Okay, Okay, thank you. I really enjoy the way you think, okay?
Thank you so much.
Very good.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you. We'll talk to you soon.
Uh-huh.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, that was 7:04. That was great. Let's get this last caller. We've got 3:30, and then we'll go back to StreamYard. Nobody else call on the phone lines, though, because we will not answer it. 3:30, welcome to the show.
Hey, what's going on, Jaron?
How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, man.
Good.
I've been listening to these calls. Good stuff. And what that lady was talking about last time, I can see that a lot. I've been having conversations with my friend in the car. And, you know, sometimes I feel like people get way too divided on the race thing. And,
on the what thing?
Matter.
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
It matters more to... I'm sorry. I don't think I have... No, okay.
Say it again, though. Say it again, because you said you on the race theory? What did you say?
Yeah, like I think people get way too divided on that. Because, like you said, we don't even know if Jesus is real or not. So that's always what I come back to when that gets brought up. But I do know a lot of people that are mad that are like, or they kind of go along with the, or I guess not really going along. It's just their theory, you know what I'm saying? And they go and say that Yeshua or Jesus was actually black and all that stuff, and that the Jews stole that religion. I find that pretty plausible, like that lady was saying. But I think it's also another hang up that they throw at us.
Right. It's brilliant of their part, right? If they make you go down 75 avenues, then how are you ever going to get back home anyway?
Yep. And it's fucked up. And it's like you said, the other guy said, too, if you mix up all the food and put it on a plate, you would have no idea. But what if all the cultures around the world had the same sort of Jesus dude, and then they just mixed it all in, or similar stories? And, I mean, because, I mean, Hercules, he has his 12 labors. Jesus has his 12 disciples. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's similar. Or did they all make them the same story?
Right.
I mean, I don't know.
It seems like it's just a bunch of copying and then changing. I mean, that's the thing, is that whatever Jesus was, we know that it's been changed. There's no way that they had all these meetings and all these underground meetings. And that's why, as a Catholic, when I was told not to really believe the Bible 100%, I knew right away, it's like, oh, because the Catholics must have changed something in it. And then, you know, from there, it's like, okay, well, then what do we believe? And it's like, oh, well, we believe these church fathers. And come on. You were raised Catholic?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, you saw the same thing. So what they do is they read like the same, whatever it might be, 52 Bible verses at different times of the year, and they kind of cycle through them, but it's all the good stories, right? So we only heard the good stuff. So they never told the story of God condoning slavery or God twisting birds' heads or whatever. I mean, it's just not what you hear.
My brother said something to me when he first decided to read the Bible, and he said he brought some shit up about something about incest or whatever. And he brought it up to my mom.
There's all kinds of that stuff, man. It's weird.
Yeah, it is really weird. But I do think that they keep stuff like that in there on purpose to really it's like almost like a double whammy, you know, when you start finding out that there's all this truth and profound stuff.
That's what they're great at. How they're great at that. I think that's their secret, right? Their secret is the double truths.
I'm sorry, what?
I was just gonna say their secret is these double fools, because you can never you never see them. Right? We always feel like if we found the lie, we're like, okay, good, this is the truth. But it's like, well, they would know that, so they're going to put another thing in your way, so that you can never really find it. You're like you said, the blended dinner. We're going to be sitting there putting pieces together, but it's just mush. You're never going to get anywhere.
Hey, you know what really makes sense too? You know, people talk about like double speak and stuff, but then you have the Bible, which is like Taurus, like the second sign of the zodiac, and that rules the throat, which is about speaking.
Right. So, our language is crazy. Our entire language is a spell. It's just it's been crafted amazingly.
The Bible is a book of spells. I mean, there's really a profound truth in there, though.
I think so, too.
I think that when you were talking earlier about, like, God lives through us, it's like these people know that they have to give people the information or whatever, or the scripture, but at the same time, they made it in a way that it can only be read with the mind of God. You get what I'm saying?
Yep. And then it's, they changed God's name in there. They just did so much garbage. They made it just disgusting.
Exactly. And what's God's correct name? Like, who the fuck cares?
Right. Why would that be important?
Person.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I don't think we need an intercessor. You just pray to God. If you need to pray to somebody or talk to somebody. But no, I definitely agree with that for the most part. Were you born in the 80s?
No, I was born in 2003.
2003? Wow, you're younger than my son. That's crazy.
Yeah, people say I look. The one I've been getting the most lately is 22.
Okay.
I don't know what that's about.
What is my son? My son's
22. Yeah, that's why. But I'm about to turn 20. So
all right,
I got my whole life.
You got your whole life in front of you. My son's 23. He taller than me. He's like 6'5" already. Giant kid.
My brother is turning 23 this year too. That's cool. So he must have been born in 2000.
Yes.
Nice.
Yep, he was a 2000. It's kind of crazy. I'm 1980. My son is 2000, and Maverick is 2020. So 2020.
Oh, that's cool, man.
So I'm gonna have my next baby in 2040. No, I'm just kidding. I don't think it's gonna happen.
Hey, who knows what the hell's gonna be going on then, huh?
I'm gonna take one more call. I appreciate the call. Call back next week.
All right. God bless, man.
You too.
Take care.
All right. No more calls on the phone line. 951. Your last one. Go.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear? How's it going, Jaron?
Sacred knowledge. I knew it was you.
Let's crack it.
What's up?
I just want to get in a call real quick.
Okay, 4 minutes.
To say what that lady was speaking about. So people don't understand how the system is run by a bunch of idiots. So why are there so many dumb people in power? It's been set up by design because they keep track of the bloodlines and the genetics. They know what genes, what bloodlines are more like towards certain things, more apt towards certain things, and which ones to use for other things. Like if you need someone who is immoral, well, you know which group to choose from, because there's bloodlines that don't have that certain morality as much as others and things like that. And it's because in the ancient religions know why, because some souls are older than others, and some souls will incarnate through certain bloodlines because they're older, more advanced souls, and then other bloodlines, they're not going to incarnate through those. They're like, those bloodlines are for like people who are more under control still. They're not, so the younger souls can be used to be for police and stuff like that. They have ways to determine who's who, and they have designed the system so that nobody who's like a really advanced soul is going to get in a position where they're going to make major changes. They've got it set up. So we're taking orders. James Addiction said it best. Idiots rule. We're taking orders from young souls who don't know nothing, and it's been inverted. That's what I wanted to say.
All right. Well, thank you for that. That was great.
All right.
Peace.
All right.
Thanks.
Peace.
I like what you had to say. All right. We're done with the calls. We're going to drop, and end this call. End show. Up. 1 second. We'll get over to StreamYard for the finishing. I wanted to it's funny when you talk about politicians and all these losers that we have to deal with. What? Just play message. The show has ended. No, just hang up. Thank you. Where did I? Hold on, let me think. I gotta think of where that was. Where did I put that? Oh yeah, I got it. I just want to play something real quick on. It's a great little video from Instagram. If I know how to do my stories. Yeah. Let me see if I can just actually share it, because send. No. Where's the copy link? More. Copy link. I'll send it to Telegram so we can watch it. It's just a crazy little video. I saw this and I was like, oh my God, I showed my wife this morning. But it talks about these politicians that are just garbage humans. And I'm guessing you would have to be a garbage human to be that far up, to be taking money, to be taking bribes. And where's Nancy Pelosi get all her freaking money? Well, she's doing insider trades. No. Come on. Sorry, I got distracted. Telegram. Save messages. There we go. Go. Okay. So that paste. Hopefully get that. Okay. I'll go here. I just want to show you this. I don't even know where this was or who's talking, but it's there we go. Okay, and this one, Instagram. So check out this thing here. And oops, stop it. Where's the volume? There. Okay, go.
Is it NBA or NFL? 36 have been accused of spousal abuse. 7 have been arrested for fraud. 19 have been accused of writing bad checks. 117 have directly or indirectly been bankrupted at least 2 businesses. 3 have done time for assault. 71, I repeat, 71 cannot get a credit card due to their bad credit. 14 have been arrested on drug-related charges. 8 have been arrested for shoplifting. 21 currently are defendants in lawsuits, and 84 have been arrested for drunk driving in the last year. How many of you think NBA? How many of you think NFL? Well, the answer is neither. It's the 435 members of the United States Congress.
That's crazy. I mean, he said 84 have been arrested for drunk driving in the last year. 84 of the 500. What? I want to hear the stats one more time. Can we reload that? Did he say 84 have been arrested for drunk driving? That's ridiculous if that's true. Let's hear again. Oh, thank you for the bell.
Is it NBA or NFL? 36 have been accused of spousal abuse. 7 have been arrested for fraud. 19 have been accused of writing bad checks. 117 have directly or indirectly been bankrupted at least 2 businesses. 3 have done time for assault. 71, I repeat, 71 cannot get a credit card due to their bad credit. 14 have been arrested on drug-related charges. 8 have been arrested for shoplifting. 21 currently are defendants in lawsuits, and 84 have been arrested for drunk driving in the last year. How many of you think NBA?
84.
How many of you think NFL?
Wow.
Well, the answer is neither. It's the 435 members of the United States Congress.
That is crazy. That is crazy. Oh yeah, what's the debate starting right now? Yep, let's go to finish off StreamYard and then we'll be done. Let's go with Andrew. It looks like, oh, I saw your little cross out thing. I thought you didn't have your stuff hooked up. Go ahead. We're going to go to 3 minutes. Just, Andrew?
Yep, I'm here. Sorry.
No problem. What's up?
Hey, good evening, Jaron.
Hello.
All right, so when it comes to religion, I'm pretty much on board with you. It's kind of weird how much we sync with our mentality with that.
Okay.
It's kind of weird. So anyways, but something to go
Don't make it
along
weird.
the lines of anti-Christianity, in a sense, is to think about this. So I have a good friend who's Hindu, and he worships Lord Shiva. So in Hinduism, there are millions of gods, and he chooses to worship Lord Shiva. I have no idea why. And the Bhagavad Gita, I have had very deep conversations with him about this, and I asked him if Hinduism even acknowledges the fact that Jesus ever existed, and he said no, they don't think he ever did. So that's kind of a weird thing to think about, since the Bhagavad Gita was written way before the whole story of Christ.
Right.
Now, the other thing about Hinduism is that I asked him if they believe in hell, and they do.
Okay.
So Naraka is the name of what they call hell. I guess that's in Hindi. So religion is the most powerful form of social control that's ever been used for a very long time. They've been using it for, because the whole thing is, oh, you have to obey us or you're going to hell. That's what keeps people focused on the whole idea of religion.
Right.
Because they feel that they have to be abiding by a book that they don't know who wrote or when they wrote it. Otherwise, the ultimate punishment is going to come along.
Yep.
So that's the whole thing about religion, I think, is if religious books never talked about hell, I don't know how many people would follow a religion.
It's a good point. It's a good point, because you have to, I mean, the fear is what keeps the people there, right? Like, it's not, because there is no, how do I explain? There is no, you don't know what heaven is. So it's hard to entice somebody with something that you can't tell them what they're getting, right? So But if you make it a false dichotomy where you say, here's heaven, we don't really know what it's like, or hell, where you burn and you gnash your teeth for all eternity. Well, now the person doesn't care what heaven is. The alternative is scary enough, right? And that's all it takes. So by bringing hell into place, they don't have to tell you what heaven is anymore. If there was no hell, you'd have to be like, well, what happens when we die? Well, we go to heaven. What happens to heaven? Well, we don't really know. Well, that's weird. Why would we? So people would question that. But when it's just heaven or hell, people are like, well, I certainly don't want to go to hell. I'll take the alternative, even though they don't know what it is. Nobody does, right? I mean, it's weird because we don't even know. Do we have the same family, different, same mind, different mind? I don't even know.
Yeah, and Jim Jeffries, I'm not sure if you know about his
comedian
comedy or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did a little skit on that. He's like, oh, yeah, okay, so heaven, what do you think you're going to do? You're going to get up to heaven, they're going to give you a whole bunch of hookers with a whole bunch of like pounds of cocaine and crack and just say, hey, have fun.
Right.
Like, and it's going to last forever? That sounds fucking terrible.
Right. The only things are fun because you don't get to do them all the time. Things are great because you do other things, right? I used to love going to baseball games, but if somebody said, all right, now you have to go to baseball games for the rest of your life for eternity, I would get real tired of that real quick. So it can't be like, and then, heaven just never made any sense to me. I don't think that my mom's up there looking down on me. That'd be really weird seeing some of the things I do in this house that she would watch. So that's weird. So she's probably just sleeping. And, again, I can see other planes of existence or something like that, but there cannot be a connection to this world because, again, it just doesn't make sense as far as what we've been told. What if I get up there and found out my mom killed somebody when I was young or, before I was born and she went to hell? I mean, then heaven wouldn't be heaven to me, right? It would be, then somebody says, oh, there'll be a fake your mom up there. I'm like, what? Now I'm talking to a fake my mom? Like, what do you mean? That doesn't make any sense. And then.
Yeah, I know. The whole idea is just weird.
The whole idea is weird. Yeah, the whole idea is weird.
But have you seen the holograms of Jesus floating in the air?
No.
I'll send it to you in Telegram right now.
Okay.
It's a real short video.
Where's this at?
I don't know exactly.
Oh, okay. All right, you'll send it to me and I'll let you go. We're at the end of your.
I'll send it to you in a private message in Telegram. And good luck on the 21st.
Thank you very much. I should destroy him.
We'll see.
I like to think. Later, Andrew.
Thank you.
Later. Let's go to Shinobi. Shinobi 333.
Hey man, what's up, Jaron?
How much? You got 3 minutes. Whenever you're ready.
Cool.
I keep getting pissed at the church and playing the bell. It's not even the church. It's my sound effect. Okay, go ahead.
Well, first of all, hope your day's going well. And
fantastic.
I was just gonna say real quick. Good. I'm out of breath because I'm at the gym. So anyway, just real quick, I was going to say that I basically 99% of any Christians I meet, one of the first thing I basically ask them is, have you read the whole entire Bible? I want to say 99% of them say no. So I would basically, my word of advice to people who want to call themselves a Christian, I would probably go ahead and read the whole entire book before you claim anything. And I have also noticed, I was going to bring up, but you kind of beat me to it. When I was in church or listening to preachers, you're absolutely right. They'll go to, let's go to Corinthians 21 right here, and then let's skip way over here to, Psalms 15, 20. It's like they pick and choose,
right,
to only highlight the good things. So, I would basically say for someone to call themselves a Christian and they haven't even read the whole entire Bible, you might not look so smart doing that.
Yeah, definitely. You need to read it. And if you can, and I know it's difficult, but read it from a perspective of it's that somebody didn't give it to you until God wrote it. Because think about it. If it is written by God, then you would pick up that Bible, you would start to read it, and it should be like, oh my God, this is divine. The problem is that we are told it's God's word. You're handed the book. So of course you always think of it as divine. But really, if it was divine, those things would come out without you needing to be told that. But of course, nobody's ever read the Bible not knowing it's from God, because that's what somebody's going to say from the get-go.
Yeah. And if you do that, objectively reading it without, people giving you, like, basically taking it without any influences, you're probably not going to feel like, oh, wow, this is a very, very divine book. You're probably going to say, how could the Creator do a lot of horrific things? Matter of fact, real quick, if you haven't seen it, Bro Sanchez has this thing called biblical contradictions. Dude, he literally probably has about 1,000 of them.
What does he have?
And he has a whole. They're real.
Does he have a video of that?
Sorry,
or
what?
Does he have a video or?
Yeah. There's a part 1, 2, and 3, man, and that is probably gave me so much ammunition for when I do, debate it or talk about it with anybody that's a Christian. He brings up so many freaking good points.
Do you find a lot of?
Back to back.
Do you find a lot of God believer non-Christians?
God believer non-Christians. The only people that I meet like that is kind of how I would consider myself, which they just say I'm spiritual.
Right.
They don't necessarily say they believe in any type of religion.
Right.
So I would say that's probably the closest to that you'll get,
Sorry, I was trying to turn down this stupid thing, but it's just over now. All right, what else you got for me?
Other than that, man, keep up the great work. I love your stuff, man. And actually, one last thing real quick.
Yes.
If you possibly could, I've tried to leave a few comments with it. Dude, if you could make it happen for maybe him to debate fight the fat shirt on next time Bro Sanchez does that, if you could get Witsit on there, dude, that'd be awesome. I think that would really boost him up too.
Okay, we got some ideas.
Get him out there more.
We're going to try and do, we don't know when the next one will be. We're going to get through this next summit, but after that, we hope to do some debate nights, big debate nights with big names. So we'll try and get them on that one. All right.
Okay. Cool,
Later.
Man. Other than that, thanks, brother.
All right.
Take it easy.
We got one left. We just got King Kirkley left, and we will skedaddle. Let me make sure we're good. Okay, good. And so Theo, I'll give you another couple minutes. What do you want? 3 minutes? Go right ahead.
Okay.
It's all yours.
Well, I kind of feel bad taking too much time because I took a lot earlier.
Well, that's okay. You're the last one. You send us out of here with something good.
Okay. Well,
if you don't need 3 minutes, then just take 2 minutes or one.
Yeah. I guess for me, I'll try and end on something. Well, there's two things I really want to say.
Say them.
So I'll kind of finish out what I was saying earlier, which is about Bible literalism. If you remember, if you take everything as God's truth in the Bible, then you're going to get super confused.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of, contradictions, things that don't make sense, things that don't work together in the Bible. And Jesus is obviously the best moral standard of them all. And he said, I've come to fulfill all this stuff, which he did. And so I think he's throw out a lot of the Old Testament and listen to Jesus' words, because he's the dude. But I guess I want to say that for me, coming to that conclusion came after a lot of time looking at a lot of different religions and even going into atheism. And the thing that held me through all of that to find what I found recently is two things. The first thing is believing that there was something to the relationship that I had with God when I was a child. I remember feeling God in the wind. I remember, being in my driveway and playing with the rocks. This is like a back country driveway, and I was kicking rocks, and I was just I wonder if God is here now, and if he was, would he want to talk to me? That's all I thought. And then I felt this wind kiss my neck, and I'm I don't know. I feel like God is here right now, and it felt amazing. It felt wonderful. And then there were other times where I prayed to God, and I felt like I got an answer in my heart, and those were also beautiful moments. So even through atheism, something happened.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went into New Age, and New Age, there's a lot of contradiction there too, and it's extremely confusing. And I remember just crying out, is there an absolute truth? And if there is, I want to know what it is, because either everything is a paradox or it works together. There's some way that it all works together. And that's when I found Alan John Miller. And I'm going to, you could say shill for him or griff for him or whatever, but I like what he has to say. He's the most logical of anyone that I've ever found. Let me just finish with this, and I'll leave you all.
Okay.
What is the antidote to fear?
Love. Oh.
No, truth.
Okay.
Truth cuts like a knife. Truth cuts through the fear. When you accept the truth, then you will find that your fears melt away. And but at the same time, it's hard to accept truth if you have a lot of fear. So you also have to get into your fear and release it. Thank you so much for the show, man.
Thanks, bro. We'll see you soon. That was
Bye.
Theo, everybody. Peace. Sorry about the sound effects being a little bit off there. We'll fix that. We're done there. All right. So I don't think there's going to be a Glowbusters tomorrow. There might be. It won't be with me. It won't be on my channel. It'll either be if Austin or Iru do it. It'll be on one of their channels, or maybe Bob will be back. I'm not really sure, but I got plans tomorrow, so I won't be around. And then we've got Monday. I'll let you guys know if the podcast is going to be dropping. I have to finish the website. Tuesday, we'll be back to the NASA Comedy Hour, and then we'll start it all over again. Let me show you. I have my new calendar up there. I forgot to show you. We've got the calendar. El calendario is here. There you go. So Glowbusters on Sundays, except for tomorrow. Monday Night Raw will be on Mondays at 3 p.m. The podcast will drop. Tuesdays, 3 p.m. Either an interview or the NASA Comedy Hour. Thursday, we've got Speaker's Corner at 3 p.m. Pacific. Friday, we've got the best show ever to hit Rokfin that is on Fridays at 3 p.m. and ends with Ism. That's the Jeranism show. And then Saturday, we've got Iconoclasm, which you're watching now. So it's been very fun. Let me go check out the tips real quick over at the Finn. If I can find the Finn. Where are you, Finn? Okay. Let me go try this one. Okay, there we go. Can check it out. All right, sweet. Oh, nice. You guys are awesome. Taking care of the phone lines for sure, and some. Let's check out who sent a tip. We've got Dave Hinkle. Thank you very much for $5. Jeranism received a tip. We've got Jason Bowles. Thank you very much. Very kind. $20. I appreciate that. Jacob's Ladder. $10. My offering to the altar boy, and also with you. We've got $20 for Mike D4 Life. Jaren, thanks to you, I now know it is wrong to cheat. Wait, thanks to you, I now know it is wrong to cheat on my wife. Unfortunately, she left me years ago. Oh, anyhow, sorry about that. Anyhow, I appreciate all you do. I can't donate often because I had lots of unprotected sex, and I'm paying for these 4 little fuckers. I like it. Have an awesome day, bud. You should have learned after the first one. I learned after 1. That's all it took. All it took. And then I said, I'm never trusting a girl again to try and tell me that, oh, yeah, I'm on the pill. Oh, sure you are. Way to go. Now I'm pregnant. Oh, boy. Okay, that was there. We've got Freight Train. Always great. I'm late again, but joining the tip train to support what I love. Thanks for the show, Jaren. I am a true iconoclast. Awesome. We're going after those iconophiles. Fernandez Lewis. Hey, does Dave get offended when you comment about the Jews? He does not. No. At least he's never gotten offended to me. I've even done little Jew songs or whatever. But he's not like them at all. He's like totally doesn't even understand the religion, I don't think. So I don't know. He doesn't do it. Ashley, thank you very much. $20. Love the show. ? All right. You're questioning if you love the show? Put another 20 in and I'll tell you whether you love it or not. And we've got Sky's the Limit. $10 says, missed most of the show. I was at the beach in Florida. Look forward to watching it over. If you don't mind, where is Witsit debating? It'd be at Modern Day Debates. Modern Day Debates that probably already started. So get over there right now. Let's thank thank you very much, Kat. Very kind of you. Very kind. It's a super sticker that says, I am number 1, and Kat is right. So way to go, Kat, for getting that. Let me check real quick just to make sure there's no super chats besides that one. Oh, there is some. Wait, $20. How much? Yeah, I got to go check. 1 second. I can pull up my Google Sheet of super chats. And we've got yeah, great. Theo said for $5, this is better than church. Thank you very much. And then Libra of Eden Realm says, keep up the great work. Maybe they were saying rupture, fake ET, invasion, Libra, of Eden realm. All right. Thank you guys very, very kindly. Much appreciated. Let's check the chat over here. Just say goodbye to everybody. See you, Bible literalist. See ya, or NA literalist, sorry. See you, who else I recognize? TV Makes. Most people would prefer to live on their knees. Does anybody want to claim that they don't have a price? Anybody going to say, I don't have a price? Or can we admit that because we all have a price, that's why this world is so bad, is because they could buy off anybody? Thanks for another great night. You're welcome. Charbinks, thank you very much. Very kind of you for the 99-cent donation. I was taking the titles of the chapters of the Bible and noticing it seems like they tell a story by themselves. Just a bunch of people's names in a row, though? I don't know. Again, for me, I've told this before, but my price would be, it would always, as long as I didn't have to lie, right? So if like somebody came to me and said, Jaron, I'll give you $10 million, stop talking flat earth, go away. I could see doing that. I could see taking the money and running and living in a house somewhere far away. I could see that. But if it was like, Jaron, take this money, you have to go and become a globe channel, I couldn't do that. No way. Taking back in, have you learned the 10 Commandments in order yet before you dismiss it, the parables of Jesus? Yeah, but taking back Eden, why does that matter? What is that? That doesn't make the Bible divine. And what does me learning the 10 Commandments in order have to do with anything? I don't really get where the connect is there. That proves that the Bible's real? The problem is the Old Testament God, like I read that paragraph about Satan, I mean, slavery. So I would like to see, the last thing we're going to have, and then we're leaving. This is for Taking Back Eden only. Taking Back Eden, now I don't remember, Leviticus 25, 40, or somewhere in there. What are we supposed to take by the message of God of what to do with slaves and how to leave them to your children and things? So I want to see, because this is the mental gymnastics that these people have to make, rather than just say, you know what, Jaron, you're right, that shouldn't be in the Bible. You're going to have to come back with it's a different kind of slavery. It's actually not slavery that we think of. So I'm anxious to see what Taking Back Eden says. Taking Back Eden, I want to know, what say you about Leviticus 25, verse 40? I love God to do no create false God, false. Okay. So, I mean, again, even in your 10 commandments, the first 3 commandments are about God. 4, he wants the Sabbath too. So again, you would recognize if I had a bunch of beings behind my desk here that I created, millions of little beings, they're little tiny beings, they have lives, they have minds, they have free will. And if I told you, I'm also giving them 10 commandments, you're like, oh, what are they? Number 1, they have only one creator and it's me. You'd be like, okay, guy. Yeah. Number 2, to not take my name in vain. You'd be like, are you okay, Jaron? Yeah, why? You're making 10 commandments and they're all about you? Yep. Number 3, you will honor my holy day, the day that I tell you to take it off. Okay, so do you understand that's psychopathic? Why do you recognize that with me, but with God you're like, all hail, glory be to Lord Jesus, Lord God, we love you. It's because I can't banish you to hell, right? So there's a little bit of fear there. But again, if you just take some of these logical steps of looking at the story, it doesn't make any sense. It's not impressive for God to make the first 4 commandments all about him. That's not a worship-worthy trait. Why do people look at it that way? It's a psychopathic trait. To be like, oh, I'm going to create beings and then give them rules, and the first 4 rules are about how they honor me. Do you understand that that's petty? It's like gross. That's not a worship-worthy character. Why would you worship him? And if you say the only answer possible is fear, the only acceptable answer is, I'm afraid, Jaron, that if I don't believe in him, that I'll go to hell. It's the only thing I can imagine. Everything else doesn't make sense because you're worshiping something that you know is not worship worthy. Am I missing Taking Back Eden? No, she's just talking about something else. All right, never mind. I was trying to get you to answer a question I was asking you, but you're not answering it? No, it's gone. All right, what are you going to do? Oh, wait, maybe it's back here. Nope, it just keeps being the commandments. First 3 are for our generous, loving, righteous creator. Again, I don't get it. Generous, loving, righteous creator. Why is he righteous? So now you're saying that all the things that he did, the bad things, the murders and things, that's righteous? Or you're just saying words that people have applied to a creator and you're just like, I'm afraid of him. So moral laws What do you, did you hear me say Leviticus 25? Didn't you? I just said that. Are you not listening to me? Maybe she's behind in the story. I mean, maybe she's behind the video because she's not hearing me, I don't think. One time before we leave, Leviticus 25. This is the problem. There's tons of verses like this, but this one's especially a problem because we can clearly see that what they're talking about. This is not ambiguous or we're confused or anything. So it says, your male and female slaves are to come from the nations around you. From them you may buy slaves. That alone is a problem. The word slavery means servitude against one's will. That's what slave is. Okay. So you are to buy these slaves from around your country. Okay. You may also buy some of the temporary residents living among you and members of their clans born in your country, and they will become your property. Again, we have a problem. People are not property. You cannot buy people. That's weird. Next line. You can bequeath them to your children as inherited property and can make them slaves for life. That's a problem. That's not a worship-worthy character. This is a demon. Why are they telling you to own other people? But you must not rule over your fellow Israelites ruthlessly. Again, this is a made-up god by the Israelites to get people to do what they wanted them to do, to get people to bring food and salts and flour to the table, the altar, and then they said they give it to God, and they would close the tent windows, and they would probably eat all the food and steal all the stuff. It's all a big scam. God did not care about blood sacrifices. God did not come down and smell the sweet smell of the ram. It's just dumb. So to me, when you have words like that in the Bible, that is unexplainable. Now, it's funny to see Christians try. It's funny because they'll just do it. Well, you don't know about, Jaron, you don't know about the times, man. There were some people so poor that they needed to be slaves. No, sorry, you're now just making up shit. If people are so poor, then give them a paycheck. Don't indebt them for life forever by becoming your property. There's no part of, if God really wrote this Bible, why didn't he say right at that point, and by the way, you cannot own other people. Other people are equal to you. You all are equal creations of God. Therefore, you cannot own other people. Don't do it. That's what God should have said. Not, oh, for your female and male slaves, take them from that nation. Take anyone you want. They become your property. Leave them to your children. And it's a part of their inheritance. Why would you think that's God? Don't you think when you have to account for your life, if you believe that is God, that you're not going to be held responsible for that? You're not going to be questioned extensively about what is wrong with you. Why would you ever believe the Creator did those things because a man wrote it in a book? You'd be like, oh, well, because I thought that God wrote the book. And I'd be like, didn't you see all the mistakes in it? Well, I rationalized them all and said that there's actually no mistakes. There's no contradictions. What do you mean? It's a walking contradiction. No, but it's, again, to me, this is a test. I'll close it on that. We are being tested here. And the best way to do it is exactly the way that I think it's being done, which is you give nobody any rules. You give nobody any prize cards or whatever, where you're like, here's what you have to do to get out of this. Because again, if you're really trying to find the good people, if you really want the best people to rise to the top, you want the ones who don't know anything who rise to the top. You want the person that gives to the poor, the person that opens the door for somebody, the person that gives drink to somebody who's thirsty, the person who gives back to here. That you want that person, right? But you just don't want it beyond like a mini scale. So I lost my train of thought here. The most important thing is, at least to me, we have to be able to recognize when it's God and when it's not. And if we find places in the Bible that it's not God, it's okay to say that. You have to put yourself in the other position. There is people who are telling you that we're not allowed to question God's morals because he's moral because he's God. If that were the case, just leave it right there. If that were the case, then understand that if the Bible said God then came down and himself raped every woman and then did it again with a cucumber. Okay, if it said that, you wouldn't have a choice to say it's not God based on their presupposition. The presupposition that God cannot be questioned morally is the dumbest thing you've ever heard in your life. It should be. Why would God give you morals and then go and operate opposite of those morals? It would never happen. It's the dumbest thing ever. Again, if if I, told you I had these little beings I created back here and I did the same thing, you would call me a psychopath. You would call me a psychopath. If I said, yeah, I gave them morality, and you're like, oh, cool. What is the morals like? Well, be good to each other, this and that. And then you just go and step on them and you're doing all these things. You're like, well, wait, aren't you operating outside of that morals that you gave them? Yeah, because I'm God. I can do whatever I want. I can operate out there. What are they going to do? You'd be like, well, they're watching you. If they see you do it, don't you think they're going to think they can do it? Again, it's the same thing. If you see things in the Bible from God, that's your chance to choose whether or not that's God. How could God give you morals and then operate outside of them? Doesn't make any sense. Can't give you morals about what's right and wrong and then him go operate opposite that because he would know you would see that. He's going to know we're going to read the Bible. He doesn't think there's a problem with reading. And then God ordered the lamb to be slaughtered on the table and the blood be poured down the west side of the altar. And then, and then he smelled the sweet, savory smell of the burnt flesh, which is what does it call it? Which is a pleasant aroma to God. I mean, we should be able to read that and go, that's not God. There's a story in the thing where the Israelites are wandering out in the desert. They're not getting any food. They're like, no, Moses, we called him 3 or 4 times and he's not coming down here to give us any food. We're going to die or we're getting really hungry. So Moses said, okay, I'll go talk to God. So he goes to God against the God. I don't know what's going on. You're not helping the people out. They've been hungry for 3 days. They've been crying for you. And God says, what? That's it. I'm going to give them food right now then. I'll give them so much food it'll be coming out of all their noses. Like, that's not God. That's just some guy writing a story that's full of shit. And we can recognize that. We can recognize that Satan isn't betting God about Job in the Bible. Just think rationally. Would any being bet against God? Doesn't even make sense. I thought God knew all things. So now we've got Satan so fucking dumb, he's going to bet God. Oh yeah, I'm going to go down there and see if I can get him to do this and this and this with his family. What are you talking about? You don't think God already saw? So, I mean, it doesn't make any sense. And we just keep buying these things, these stories. They're nothing but stories. There's nothing divine. It's just stories. So I leave you guys with the fact that it should be okay to talk about these things. I like today's show. It was fun. We got to kick some stuff around, some ideas, learn a little. Don't let them tell you what we can or can't talk about. Christians are going to want to, Jaron, you're ruining the flat earth by talking about this. No, I don't think I am. There's something inside me telling me to talk about it. So, I mean, I'm sorry that there is, but I think that there's great truths on the other side of this. Possible life-changing kind of truths, but you have to be able to get through the lies that have been set up. I know what I was talking about. Sorry. That if God's really trying to find the best of the best, what better way to do it than to put people into a world where there is nothing? There is no instructions. So then you actually get to find out who is being real or good for good's sake. What you don't want to do is you don't want to come to the earth and then put out a Bible that says, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this, and then you go to heaven. Because what you're going to get is even wicked people are smart enough to go, well, I don't want to go to hell. I'd rather be in heaven. So I'm going to just get these things right. So that, and then think about murdering people all day and we think about raping people all day. But as long as I got these things in order, I'm fine. Right? That can't be the case. So we kind of know what's going on, that it can't be something like that. It has to be a collective. That's what I think it is. But again, think about it. If you have God put us all here, and then the people, what you don't want is bad people to kind of cheat their way in. It's not really determining anything. Like if you tell everybody this is the steps, you have to do this, you have to do that. Well, even bad people can do those things, right? But if you just don't think God's around, or you don't think that it matters, then you're really just living your life here and not realizing that you're going to be held accountable at the end. And I don't want to come back. I feel like I've been here before. I don't want to come back. So this time I'm going to do it right, and I'm going to make up amends for my years from 17 to 29. I was not a great boy, but it wasn't bad either. Just some things that were, not the nicest things to people. But that's about it. Much love, guys. Thank you for being here. Let's go check out Austin Whitsitt. Support the show, $, Jeranism at Cash App. Get a hat. Get a hat. Let me see if I got a hat to show you. I'll show you a hot girl in a hat. How about that? Let's see a hot girl in a hat. Where is it? Is she this way? Oh, the Joe Biden. Joe Biden. So funny. All right. This is a hat. If you want to look like Tima, you can. Where is her? This one. There you go. You need a fake X hat like Tima if you know what's up. So there, she's wearing a nice hat. Very cute. We need to get everybody one of those. And you go to, do I have it up here? Go to shop.jeranism.com and get one of these very cool fake X beanies. The combo pack. This really helps me. We got to get through a lot of them. Didn't sell as much as I thought we were going to. So we still aren't even close to breaking even. So help me out so we don't have to sit on these for 6 months. And I don't want to sell these for 6 months. I don't want to tell you every show, the fucking hat, get a hat, get a hat, get a hat. So, I will not be reordering these because I don't like selling things. Anyway, there's USB Duo, the library access, 2,750 books. We just added a couple books yesterday. What did I add? I added something cool. Oh, something from Jordan Peterson. And there's consultations. Get those here. If you don't know which consultation, if I'm the right person, you get a almost free 15-minute meeting. It's like $3. And that would be great if you could support that way. And was there anything else? Nope. And as always, I will remind you guys that the one important thing that you need to remember over all things is that God does not write books. People write books. Till next time, this has been Jeranism. Peace.